Good morning, everybody. Let's get into it. 513-873-7134. What a beautiful Monday. Great to be alive. And as always, my pleasure to be with you. Now, please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. When you share the show, more people see it. And on every single show, my goal is to get 100 shares. Help me reach my goal this morning, 100 shares. So on today's show, coming up at 8:30 a.m., we're scheduled to speak with the last. This will round out my CPS board member conversations. And we're scheduled to have a conversation this morning at about 8:30 a.m. approximately with Melanie Bates. Melanie Bates. Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Melanie Bates is scheduled to give us a call this morning. I'm not really sure if I like that green back there. I think I'll change that. Kind of matches with the foliage, with the plants in the background. But good morning to you. So Melanie Bates is scheduled to give us I think she's going to do a Zoom call. So we'll get a chance to see her. Hopefully that'll work out well. Make sure we're looking right. That's at 8:30 a.m. At 9:30 a.m., we're scheduled to speak with Kevin Aldrige, who is the opinion editor for the Cincinnati Enquirer. And I'm not sure if it was him or if it was the editorial staff and some total altogether they contribute, but they wrote a piece about essentially saying that CPS, as Cincinnati Public Schools, should honor the agreement that they made with the state of Ohio. I guess that would be the governor and his folks, as relates to Walnut Hills High School, because the way the deal was supposed to work was CPS was going to be at the front of the line in terms of getting vaccinated. That did happen. And in return, CPS was supposed to send all of their kids, on some levels, whether it be hybrid or otherwise, hybrid or otherwise, would send all of the children back into in-person learning. And that did happen, except for one school. That's Walnut Hills High School, which continues to be a source of conversation and debate. So we'll have some of that conversation again this morning. Along the way, I want to talk about some new evidence as it relates to the death of Malcolm X. Have you heard this? Bombshells. Or maybe it depends on where you are and how you feel about it. Some might care about this, some may not care about this, but it is in the news. A deathbed letter from a former police officer claims that the NYPD and the FBI helped to kill Malcolm X. How did they help to kill Malcolm X? I'll share you the details. I'll share the details with you in just a minute. First, let me greet the choppers. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope your weekend was solid. My weekend was certainly solid. One second. My weekend was definitely solid. Just spent a little bit of family time, or a lot of bit of family time, and was working. It's like when you're an entrepreneur, the hustle never stops, man. The grind never stops. What's a weekend to an entrepreneur? It's just another day. It's just another opportunity. There is no stop. It always continues. I was just talking with somebody, I forget who it is. I was talking with someone about the difference between working for yourself and for working for somebody else. And I'll be honest with you, for me personally, I work hard for other people. But I go, shit, 100,000 times harder for myself, as you could imagine, right? The hustle never stops. The grind never stops when you're an entrepreneur, especially when you're developing multiple income streams. And so you got your hands in a lot of different things. It never stops. There is no stop. People ask me, so Nate, how do you do show prep? Show prep is 24/7. The show prep never ends. No matter what I'm doing, I'm always doing show prep. Everything I do, every experience I have in terms of this will manifest itself in terms of show prep. Let me give you a heads up. The Community Connector podcast is coming back today at 12 noon. I want to make sure that you check it out with Tiffany Daniels. Looking forward to it. She's got a special guest. If you're not hip to this podcast, plug in, family. Make sure you plug in today at 12 noon. We'll be going live from our Facebook page, Sin Digital Media. Okay, look for that. She talks about wealth building, wealth strategies, Bitcoin. I'll say it again. What I really appreciate about Tiffany is she just don't talk about it. She is about it. This is what she does. It's what she does. She'll be talking with a woman named Adrienne Fraser Ross, who's with Fraser Homes. And they'll be talking about some things that perhaps you can get something out of, right? Like building a new home. What is that process? Okay. So make sure you check that out today at 12 noon. You can watch it live on Facebook. If you miss it, the stream, the podcast will still be up. You can check it out for yourself. Good morning to you. Also debuting something new this week. Make sure you keep your eyes on this channel, something that hopefully you'll get into, something for the community. So we'll talk about more about that tomorrow and on Wednesday as well. All right. 513-873-7134. If you would like to share your thoughts, I am here to receive them. All right. We're playing Mystery History. This is presented by imgbat.com. That's an online handcrafted jewelry and art store, imgbat.com. There is a link in today's description, and you could check it out for yourself. If you want to play mystery history and win potentially a $50 gift card toward the purchase at imgbat.com, all you have to do is go to the Nathan Ivey Show Facebook page. That is the official Facebook page for this show. And it's at the top of the page. I posted the mystery history clue. The way it works is hit the play button, listen to the clue, and tell me who said it. Who is the famous person, the iconic person in American history? And since it's Black History Month, the iconic Black person in American history, whose voice you're going to hear on a clip. Here's how you register to win, family. It's real simple. All I need is the correct answer. Leave that in the comment section. Not in the comment section of today's show. Not here. Go on Facebook, The Nathan Ivey Show. Do it there. Leave the correct answer. Like it. Share it. If you do all three of those things or two of those things and you get the correct answer, that will register you to win. imgbat.com. You can play right now. Okay. Near the bottom of the hour, I'll play the clue for you. It's the same clue we played on Friday. We'll stay with that same clue, and we're going to play all the way through this week up until Friday. Okay. Up until Friday. Get ready for that. All right. All you have to do. And then you can take that $50 toward the purchase. I think they got a lot of things you can actually purchase outright, and or you can build upon and get yourself something really nice from imgbat.com. Again, we'll play the clue near the bottom of the hour. We'll play it a couple times this today's show so you know what's going on. All right. It's very, very important. 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. That's great to hear. How was the weekend? What's popping? What did I miss? What's on your radar screen? Okay, I'm open for that. But again, for those just coming in, I want to give you a heads up. Today's show, we'll be talking with Melanie Bates at 8:30. I just confirmed with her early this morning, so she'll give us a Zoom call at 8:30 a.m. And then 1 hour later at 9:30 a.m., we're scheduled to speak with Kevin Aldrige. He is the opinion editor for the Cincinnati Enquirer. So we'll spice up the conversation a bit. Along the way, it's just you and me. It's just us. Let's get into it. That's my number right there, 513-873-7134. That's a free number anywhere in the world. Well, anywhere in the country, I know for sure. In some places around the world, there may be a toll charge, but listen, it's minuscule compared to the impact that you can have on the show. All right. Good morning to you and welcome back. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Let me go straight into the chop shop this morning and say what's up. Tracy writes, hi. Good morning, Tracy. Ray writes, here. Good morning, Ray. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Happy Monday. Miss D writes, greetings. Pat writes, good morning. Brenda writes, happy Monday. Politically Petty shows in the house. Morning, Nate and the Choppers. Flo is rated E for everybody. Pamela writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Welcome to the last week of February. I wonder how General Kabaka Abba would have felt about the shenanigans down at City Hall on Friday. The shenanigans down on City. Okay, so what am I missing here? What did I miss? What happened on Friday? Please fill me in, Sharp. Fox writes, rise and shine, young stars. Jared writes, good morning, hashtag team and I. Hey, Pamela's in the house. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Brandy writes, good morning. She's on Facebook. Good morning to you, Brandy. Good to see you. Anthony writes, morning, Chop Shop. Good morning to you. Where we at here? Let me back up here. Zakia, what's up, Zakia? She writes, good morning, Nathan. Hey, good to see you. It's been a while. Good morning. Joe's in the house. What up, Joe? Writes, morning, Nathan the Choppers. Good morning to you, Joe. Hold on. Let me make sure that I've shared it to all of the different spaces that I know of on Facebook. Hold on one second. What is this? Angela just sent me something. What is this, Angela? Oh, okay. I'm not sure you want me to play that live. Sorry. I'll check that later. Hold on. I want to make sure we share the show everywhere. I can't ask you to share it. I'm not sharing it everywhere. Share it everywhere. Share it 3 or 4 times in the same space if necessary. All right. Make sure everybody can see and hear the show this morning. Oh God, I hate when I do things like that. So there it is. Hold on. I might have to hold on. Let me say here. I may have to end this, at least a video stream, and then restart it. Let me double check here. So I want to make sure. Okay. We're up. We're up. I don't have to do that. Great. All right. Cool. Yesterday we posted, and you can check it out for yourself, a couple of the first episodes of the Melanie Insights podcast, hosted by Britt and Cass, and they were discussing the many layers of Black History Month with their guest Aaron Hunter. You can check it out right now on multiple platform outlets, including Spotify. I posted a link to Spotify. I know a lot of people go there as well, so make sure you check them out, and welcome Britt and Cass to the CDM family. And we're about to make a pivot this week into a new platform. I'll share more with you on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we'll go live with something new on Wednesday, just to give you a heads up. All right, let me make sure I'm sharing this. Everybody's looking dope. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me make sure that I'm sharing this to all of the spaces. And there it is. All right. So as I said, new evidence in the death of Malcolm X, not Martin Luther King, but Malcolm X. And the new evidence, and again, I don't think anybody's going to be super surprised by this, but it is noteworthy to bring this up. And there was a deathbed letter from a former police officer who shared his confession, in which he says that these intelligence law enforcement agencies helped to facilitate the assassination of Malcolm X. Of course, Malcolm X died on February 21st, 1965, after being shot during his remarks. He was actually delivering his flows at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. I think if you ever seen any movie or documentary, we all know this to be the facts. That was February 21st, 1965. And this is February 22nd, 2021. Ray Wood, a former undercover police officer, wrote in a newly released confession letter that the NYPD and the FBI worked with him to make sure that the 2 men in charge of Malcolm X security detail were going to be arrested in the days before the speech. So they knew that he was going to be at the Audubon Ballroom Theater on that particular day. So the deathbed letter is saying that these FBI agency, that the FBI and the New York Police Department, they worked to make sure that his security detail wasn't in place, as if they had some advanced notification or some idea as to what was going to happen. And they wanted to do everything they could to make it as easy as possible for Malcolm X, people that wanted to kill Malcolm X, to actually kill him. Now, apparently, Ray Wood first shared his confession with his family when he found out that he was diagnosed with some stomach cancer in 2011. And so I guess he was looking in the face of his own mortality and wanted to go to before his creator with somewhat of a clean heart, although he never came forward while he was alive. From the articles I read, Mr. Ray Wood was afraid to come forward because he was afraid about the retaliation that would come down on him and his family. And not sure if you're aware of this, but there was a big press conference on Saturday where you had Malcolm X's daughters, as well as, some other folks, including attorney Benjamin Crump, who's everywhere. Glad the brother's out there doing it. Some people criticize him and his record, but he out there doing it. Quote, "For 10 years, I have carried this confession secretly in fear of what could happen to my family and myself if the government found out what I knew." And Ray Wood confessed that he and the NYPD and the U.S. government all made sure that Malcolm X wasn't adequately protected from assassination during his final speech. Quote, "I participated in actions that in hindsight were deplorable and detrimental to the advancement of my own Black people." Now, when you tie that to like the big like movie everybody's talking about, Judas and the Black Messiah. It's like, oh, here we go again. We talked about this on Friday, that Black people could never remain in the condition that they're in if you didn't have Black people inside the community actively working against our collective best interest, because it might be in their personal best interest. That's humans being humans, right? That's humans being humans. I don't know about you, but from what I've seen, humans being humans, most humans only care about themselves. They don't give a damn about nothing else. Most humans look at this as a race. It's a race against time, and it's a race to see who can get the most, right? And so with those kind of stakes, if somebody's dealing with 3 years and all you got to do is set up Fred Hampton, oh, by the way, I didn't know they was going to kill you, then they'll do it. And this dude went along with it probably because he didn't want to rock the boat, and he was afraid. And maybe he had a good reason to be afraid. Like if these forces were actively working to set the conditions to kill Malcolm X, then what they gonna do to your ass? I get it, but I'll make this point again. Like, we need to make sure that we have the proper focus when we talk about some of these issues. I mean, you even applied to Cincinnati. Who are the Judases among us in the city of Cincinnati? I'll say it again. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, wow. I wasn't surprised one bit, because even without this information, and again, you can call me cynical, toward my country, Cincinnati, but it is what it is. I mean, yeah. I mean, same thing with JFK. Do you really, who actually really believes that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone gunman? Like, if you really believe that, then you are dumb as a rock. Ain't no way. I don't believe it. I never believed it. I mean, even as a kid, as I got older, I'm like, how could they believe this nonsense? I mean, you can look at it and tell it doesn't make a lot of sense, but humans do that. Again, humans are worse than COVID. Humans can get caught up with stuff like that real easily. Have you heard about this, family? If so, what do you think? 513-873-7134. Do you believe it? Does it matter? What are we supposed to do with this information now? Like, I'm a big believer in getting to the truth. I'd rather deal with the truth, even if it's ugly, even if it is something I didn't necessarily want to hear. I'd always rather run a deal with the truth. Keep it 100 with me, and then I can make my own decision as to whether it's something I want to be involved in or however I want to deal with it, right? So I think there's a virtue in just the truth being out here. But how does this hit your ear, your heart, your brain? Let's say we believe that this is true, okay? Let's say we all say that Ray Wood, former undercover police officer, is telling us the truth. And why would a man dying of cancer make something like this up? You're about to go meet your creator. I'm not really sure that's the place to be telling lies, right? So let's say this is fact. What does that mean, family? What do we do with this information now? 513-873-7134. There's already a healthy suspicion between the Black community and law enforcement that is largely law enforcement's fault. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I blame law enforcement, because y'all the ones with the guns and the badges and the power. Hit you with that Spider-Man quote. What? To whom is giving a lot of power, you got a lot of responsibility. So I blame the people with the power. So there's already a lot of distrust and mistrust and cynical attitudes toward law enforcement from the Black community in particular, and really a lot of communities, based upon what we see, what we've experienced. What do we do with this? Exactly. So what does this mean exactly? Like, raise your hand if you're shocked to hear this. Because I ain't shocked to hear this. I would not be shocked to see if this is true or not. I would not be shocked, not even a little bit. I wouldn't have nothing. Like, okay, kind of figured they had something to do with it, right? That kind of thing. So now we get greater insight into what happened to her father's murder. And what happened to the murder of Malcolm X. I was reading a comment from one of his daughters who said, quote, any evidence that provides greater insight into her father's murder should be thoroughly investigated. I do as well. I agree. It should be thoroughly investigated. But what does this mean exactly? Nobody's going to jail. There's not going to be a trial. I believe in information and the truth and all of that. I believe in all of that. But how do we process this? Like, what do we do with this information if in fact you believe it's true? Because some people be like, here we go with this nonsense again. Ain't nobody do nothing. That was the Nation of Islam, right? I mean, that might be the easier thing to believe, but the truth might be stranger than fiction. Again, raise your hand if you are surprised by this. Like, oh shit, I didn't see this coming. This is jarring. Really, Nathan? This what? I cannot believe it. Is that you? I don't know. You tell me. 513-873-7134. Graston writes, who killed Malcolm X is required viewing. April writes, peace and blessings to all. Brenda writes, good morning from Fairfield. Tony writes, good morning. Yolanda writes, good morning, everyone. Danita's in the house. She writes, good morning, all. Dale writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to everybody. Elaine is in the house. Good morning, Elaine. She writes, good morning. Good morning to you. Angela writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. April writes, okay then, Nate. April writes, what about AB? Did you watch the fight? I did not watch the fight. No, I did not. I wish to listen. If it's a Cincinnatian in the fight, I'm always with the Cincinnatian. So I was happy to see he won. Having not watched the fight, I do know there was some controversy over whether he really won or not. Like there were some people on the scorecard that thought that AB lost. One of the most hilarious AB lines was he said afterward, what did he say? He said, we're going to cash checks and have sex. You know, it is what it is. I do know he's already set up for another fight, and some people are saying he's past his prime, but he won. You know, it is what it is. He won. That's all that really matters. You know, controversy or not, controversy is a part of boxing. It is what it is. So I wish the best for the brother. I hope he, you know, deals with his financial issues and legal issues and whatever issues. I mean, he has some quotes afterward in which he was like, man, when I'm not boxing, I get in trouble. I'm like, you know, you would be a man. That's like what a child would say. You're a grown ass 30-something-year-old man talking about if you ain't boxing, couple Joe just finds you. I didn't really like that, but that's just my personal take on it. I mean, come on now. Are you a man or a child? You know what I'm saying? You a man. You got children, right? That's nah. If I don't box, trouble just finds me. What? No, trouble don't find you. You making these bad decisions. That's what's happening. But I was happy to see that he got the win. You know, hometown boy wins again. A lot of people hate on AB. I don't hate on AB at all. You know what I'm saying? If you want to flush his money down the toilet, you go right ahead. That's your money. You ain't gonna flush my money down the toilet. But if you want to put $20 bills down the toilet, you go right ahead, brother. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a good showman. And people either like him or like to hate him. And that's a good thing in the world of boxing, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts on it. Caprice writes, good morning to you, Caprice. Tiff's in the house. She writes, good morning, all. Christian's in the house. He writes, good morning, family members. Good morning to you, brother. Jane writes, good morning. Linda writes, good morning. See, Rob Richardson with the Disruption Now podcast is in the house. He writes, what's up? Yes, FBI was involved in a ton of ways. Hey, what's up with you, Brian? I seen a new podcast, man. I love it, man. I love it. Keep doing your thing. I love it. Deborah Nesbitt writes, good morning. Still in New Jersey, but I'm with y'all at heart. Glad to hear it. Same here, sis. Same here. Nat writes, good morning, Facebook Choppers. Good morning to you. James writes, morning, Choppers. Glenn with the Politically Petty podcast writes, morning, Nate and the Facebook Choppers. Hashtag flows ready to eat for everybody. James writes, most humans, it ain't my business if it don't affect me. Even if it does affect me, they're taking good care of me and mine's right. That's most humans. That's most humans. Most humans are, you know, God's little selfish creatures. I'm not trying to say I'm anything different. I'm just telling you, this is the way the world is. A couple things, you know, in this lifetime, you know, in this life, if you have people that, if you're lucky enough to have real friends, like people that really rock with you and really, you know, care about you and are really willing to manifest that into real actions, because everybody can give you lip service. That's rare. That is very, very rare, because most people, they get up with this competition kind of thing, and it's everybody trying to compete with the Joneses. It's just it can become a big deal. It can for some folks. And so that's why I tell people, man, like when we start talking about interracial dating, I've given you my preference. You know where I stand for it. For me personally, I wanted to marry a black woman. My mama was a black woman. My grandmother was a black woman. My sisters are black women. I was going to marry a black woman. Whatever I had to give in this world, any money to come in, anything I wanted to build that with the black family. That's just me. But if you end up in an interracial relationship because you find somebody that want to rock with you, as I've said before, that is such a rare thing to find. It's so special. You better jump on it with two hands and hold on and find that love. Somebody want to put up with you and all the things, good and bad, then rock with them. Because it's very, 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 very rare. Same thing with the Malcolm X's, and we found out what happened with this brother with the Black Panthers. When the chips hit the ground, when it's crucial time, people always are going to do what's best for them. Always. To expect anything different, quite honestly, in my opinion, is naive on your part. People are always going to do that. So if that leads to somebody's death, but they're not dead and they're not in jail, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do, period. It is what it is. I read that the brother that played, William O'Neill, the FBI informant in real life, but also portrayed by, what's the brother's name from Get Out? Lakeith. I know he's been going back and forth with Charlamagne the Guy with the Breakfast Club, but he said he had to go to therapy after playing that role. Some would say he had to go to therapy before that. What's his name? Lakeith Stanfield, I think it is. He seems to be a tremendous actor. I hope everything works out well for the brother, man. But that's just the way of the world, family. That is the way of the world. You know what I'm saying? If you expect something different, use a damn fool. That's the way of the world. That's what it is. That's how you can have a JFK assassination. Nobody comes forward. Nobody's held responsible. 911. I ain't talking about the 911 emergency services. I'm talking about what happened on September 11th, 2001. Where were you? World Trade Center. There's more information about that. Why don't people come forward? Well, a multitude of reasons. One, either they're getting paid off, they've been coerced, or they were in on it. That's why. Mofo roll into you and says, listen, they show you a picture of your children at the school building they took, and they say, listen, if you open your mouth, something's going to happen to your kids. What you going to do? You're going to keep your mouth closed. Somebody come to you and say, listen, I'm going to put 50 mil in your bank. All you got to do is keep your mouth closed. Most people are going to keep their mouth closed and take that money. I don't care what they had to do to get it. That's just the way of the world. And that's why I say humans are worse than COVID. Like our governor. Our governor is worse than COVID. Because at least COVID just has a single-minded determination, which is to reproduce, to replicate, to survive. Mike DeWine, who has no spine, he's in it for politics. He's trying to juggle all this kind of stuff, including getting reelected. Humans worse than COVID. Much worse. Naisha writes, hey, Naisha, good to see you. She writes, hopefully it just opens the eyes of those in denial to reality. To my Malcolm X, it could. I'm just trying to figure out, so what do I do with this information now? Okay, I'm a black man, relatively, well-read. There's a lot more people more well-read than I am, but relatively speaking, I kind of have a sense of what's going on. I'm at least woke. If I'm not woke, I'm at least woke. W-O. At least give me that. Give me two letters of the word woke, right? So I got a general sense, got a good head on my shoulders. What am I supposed to do with this information? Like, I already felt like, the authorities had something to do with Malcolm X's death. We all know about COINTELPRO. The polite American history version is COINTELPRO was just, we thought they were working with the Russians. We thought the communists had infiltrated the Black Panther Party. That's nonsense. Right? The reality is they was in it for keeps. It was win or lose. It was the Game of Thrones. Either you win or you die. Literally speaking. And some people lost their lives. For what? How was the Black Panther such a threat? What was Malcolm X's biggest threat? I don't understand it. But again, I'm looking at it from the lens of, a black man in these times. From a non-black perspective, during the time when Malcolm X was getting a lot of press, they probably looked at him like he was a threat, like a black messiah. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're in a rap group called the Black Messiah, oh my God, people are going to look at you like you're going to start a revolution or something. It is what it is. That's what I told you about. And see, now I want to circle back around to Nick Cannon. I told y'all, Nick Cannon is harmless. Nick Cannon was harmless. Everybody made such a big deal about, oh, Nick Cannon said that. Who gives a damn what Nick Cannon has to say? He's on his YouTube channel talking ish. Big deal. It wasn't going to amount to anything. I told you. And now what are we reading? Nick Cannon's going back to wilding out. So that's the way the game goes. He was just pontificating on his show. It was nothing more than that. You know what I'm saying? People try to make it seem like he was like the next, like, I don't know. He was like the next coming of Huey Newton or something. No. He's just an entertainer, smart dude, aware, conscious. And he's pontificating on his show on YouTube. Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that. Before we go any deeper, everybody, I want to let you know that today's sponsor is the Wellburn Experience. The wellburnexperience.com is their website. And you can give them a call this morning at 513-252-1055.
Wellborn experience. Wellborn experience. Wellborn. It's that wellborn experience. Wellborn. Yeah, the wellborn experience. Wellborn. That wellborn experience. Wellborn experience. Wellborn experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you're happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Oh, that's the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the wellborn experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head, not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps it so professional, and from his conversation, you can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure? Relieve the pressure. Yeah. And just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
Again, that's 513-252-1055. If you're looking for a dream home, if you're looking for some commercial property, if you're looking for a space to rent for your business or for some other reason, then contact Otis and his team this morning at 513-252-1055. There's a link in the description of today's podcast. Okay. All right. All right. Also, we've got a really exciting opportunity. This is an employment opportunity for someone out there. It could be someone that you know. I'll talk more about that here in the next couple of minutes. This is a local employment opportunity. You may know someone who's looking for employment. You may know someone who's looking for a new opportunity. And I think I may have something that might suit your purposes. And I'll share that with you in just a couple of minutes. All right. Don't go anywhere. 513-873-7134. Back to your chat this morning. Danita writes, and she's talking to Glenn. Good morning. Okay, she's talking to Glenn. Deborah writes, my friend always talks about knowing the difference between your level of influence versus your level of concern. Charles writes, Grand Risings, Nate and the Choppers. Sean writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Tiffany's in the house. Good morning, Tiffany. Good to see you. She writes, good morning. Sheila writes, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, please, family, please second and lift up this stream, you know, and let people know about what we have here. We're just getting started. And when you share and like the show, it allows more people on Facebook to see it. So please like and share the show for a lot of different reasons, not the least of which is let the world know that there are some people in Cincinnati that's got some damn sense. Okay. No matter what anybody else is doing on this show, we got sense. Deborah writes, there is no statute of limitations on murder. I believe she's right about that. I don't think anybody's going to be held accountable who hasn't already been held accountable for the death of Malcolm X. Like, they're not going to go drag down these police captains who was in charge. It's just not going to happen. So what does this do? How do we take what we learned about Malcolm X and make it into something that's constructive, something that we can build upon for today? I'm just really curious. How do we do that? Is that even possible? Is that even possible? How do we do that exactly? Think about it for a second and tell me what you think. Hey, good morning to you, Kelly. Good morning. Good morning. Man, there are a lot of people running for city council. A lot. Already was like 80 people. I'm like, damn, we only got what, 8 spots, 9 spots? Damn. Dale writes, this is one more reason not to trust the government during COVID. Angela writes, I believe it was the FBI, period. Caprice writes, hate he waited so long to open his mouth. He waited until he was dead. Like, the man is dead now. So that's how concerned he was about threats to his family. I'm trying to figure out what I do with this. You know, I think as a citizen, like if I worked in the FBI in a leadership position, I would use this to make sure that nothing like that can happen again today. Okay. But I don't work in the FBI. Okay. Meaning you probably don't work in the FBI. So we don't have that kind of impact. I'm trying to figure out, as a black man living in America, what do I do with that information? Do I just pile it on to the already large pile of reasons to be cynical about the FBI? Is it just another log on the fire that's already been blazing in terms of my suspicions about law enforcement? And if so, how useful is that to me? How useful is that to my family? I think there's a usefulness in always getting it right. I think the truth in and of itself is a virtue, for whatever that means. If it happened, it happened. I'm a big believer in that. Whatever happened, happened. If it happened, it is what it is. I'd rather deal with the real than deal with a fantasy any day of the week. But what do we do with that exactly? Is there anything constructive that we can take from this? Okay, so now we found out that the FBI was involved in the death of Malcolm X. Okay, a lot of people already thought that anyway. But now we have even more evidence. What do I do with that information, family? What do I do with that? I'm just struggling. 513-873-7134. Let's talk about Gorilla Glue Girl just for a second. But before we do, I also want to give you a heads up. As I said, there's an amazing opportunity out there for people that might be looking for a new job. And that's what the folks over at Pinnacle Protection Agency. They're seeking a professional camera, DVR, and alarm installer. If you're interested, you can send the resume or send your resume to info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com, or you can give them a call at 513-506-5010. That's 513-506-5010 if you are interested. Okay. And they're looking for you this morning. It pays great. It's a great family-owned company. They're asking you to send your resume to Pinnacle Protection Agency. They're looking for professional installers for security, surveillance cameras, intrusion alarms, access control systems, and they also do ballistic safe panic rooms. Wasn't there a movie called The Panic Room? Remember that? I always thought that was dope, though. I think, I can see her name. I can see her face, but I can't call her name. But anyway, there was a movie called The Panic Room, right? And essentially, and again, I'm not sure if this is a wealthy person thing or whatever. I don't have a panic room in my house. But let's say somebody break into your house. You can install or create a panic room, which is like a safe room, where you go in there, you lock yourself in. The doors are like super barricaded and reinforced. Nobody can get in. It can be a safe place. You've got surveillance systems and also communication systems inside, so you can contact authorities and get some help. And it looks like the people over at Pinnacle Protection Agencies are involved with that as well. 24/7 alarm monitoring central station. So if you're looking so this is something that can work for you in two ways, family. Number one, maybe you're looking for a smart home and business solution for your security needs. I would recommend you to give the folks at Pinnacle Protection Agency a call this morning at 513-506-5010. But the reason why they're promoting this is they're looking for people to join the team. So if you know someone who's looking for a new opportunity, then perhaps this will work for them. Again, Pinnacle Protection Agency is looking for professional camera, DVR, and alarm installers. And they're waiting for your call this morning. You can give them a call at 513-506-5010. 5010. Or if it suits, what you've got going on today better, then you can email them at info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. Again, that's info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. And I'll talk more about it before the show ends. You'll definitely hear more about it. All right, it's currently 8:28 a.m. and we're scheduled to get a Zoom call from Melanie Bates. Oh, the phone was just ringing. Let me see what this is. We're scheduled to get a phone call. Well, I thought it was going to be a Zoom call. It could be a phone call from Melanie Bates. Let's go to the phones and see who's on the line, shall we? Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show. Okay, Melanie, hold on 1 second. Let me get you hooked up. That's Melanie Bates on the phone, everybody. We got Melanie Bates on the line. Let me go straight back to it. Hey, Melanie, can you hear me now? Hold on 1 second here. Hey, Melanie, do me a favor. Hang up the phone and call me right back, please. Okay, that's Melanie Bates. Nice enough to spend some time with us this morning. And she'll give us a call back and we'll put her on and talk about, we'll just get a sense of, where she stands. Okay, here she just called us back here. All right. Melanie, you're connected now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm not on the restream, but hopefully the phone will work.
Yeah, it should work. It should work. I love the restream because we can actually see you up on the line, on the screen. And
I'll try it again. Better. I'll re-log in.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. I mean, or either way.
Okay, so now I'm up and ready to join stream.
Got Melanie Bates. Hold on, we're getting it hooked up real quick.
Kind of doing the same thing. It's thinking. It says my browser is not supported. I'm on Safari. I'm not sure that I have. I would have to download Chrome, but Safari isn't making it. I'm probably going to have to talk to you on the phone.
Yeah, okay, let's do it this way. That works. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
And this is our first time speaking on this show, I believe it is. I don't think I've had the pleasure of interviewing you.
No, you have not. And I was pleased that you responded when I messaged you. So
yeah, for sure.
No, it's good to be on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, as we get started here, just real quick, I mean, tell people about yourself. How long have you been a member of the school board?
This is my 20th year on the Cincinnati School Board. And before that, I spent 7 years in Columbus on the State Board of Education. And I had 3 children who went all the way through Cincinnati Public Schools, and I currently have 2 grandchildren who are in Cincinnati Public Schools. So I refer to myself often as I think Laura Mitchell and I are the institutional memories of this, and Eve Bolton, the institutional memories of Cincinnati Public Schools.
Okay. Are you from Cincinnati?
No, I grew up in New Jersey and then went to Northern Ohio, Sandusky, Ohio for high school. And I came to Cincinnati I went to Xavier for undergrad and Northern Kentucky University for graduate school and stayed here. Married, raised my family. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, my background.
Okay. Appreciate the background. Okay, well, let's just jump straight back into it. Melanie, again, I appreciate your time. You were one of 2 CPS board members that in the most recent vote, and I believe this vote was about should Walnut Hills go back to virtual learning. But as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you along with Eve Bolton were the only 2 board members that voted against that plan. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And can you explain to us why that is? Why did you vote for Walnut Hills despite, the safety concerns and a lot of the voices from the parents and even the community? What informs you? Why did you vote in that manner?
Well, safety concerns are huge. And we were receiving information that we're the only district in the area that isn't back pretty much full time. So or I guess you could call them our children's colleagues are really jumping ahead academically because they're getting the in-school suspension. They are not seeing an increase in cases, and actually, we have been receiving information from the health department and Children's Hospital that the incidence of in-school positive rates for students and children is very low if mask wearing occurs, vaccination, which all of our teachers who wanted vaccines at this point have at least one dose, and now some of them, 1/3 of them, have two, and rigorous cleaning. We have increased and upgraded our HVAC systems for air filtration. So with all those measures, the risk is low. And for families who want no risk, we have virtual options. We have, of course, the Digital Academy. We were also informed at that same meeting that there are online AP classes that are offered throughout the district. So the Walnut children who choose to be home can take their AP classes at home. But I felt strongly, number one, that we needed to add an in-school option for families who wanted to send their children back to school. And there are a great deal of those families. And number two, I believed we were going back on our word to the governor when we asked the superintendent to sign a document saying we will go back in some form in order to get our teachers priority for the vaccines. And in fact, our teachers were like one of the first in the state to get vaccinations. Governor DeWine put us at the very top of the list. Health department set up CPS only clinics, and then our board, who voted twice to go back, changed their mind, or the majority did, and backed down from that agreement. And we all know that our superintendent suffered repercussions because of that, which is unfortunate because that was the board's decision and not her decision.
What repercussions did the superintendent suffer?
Well, right now, publicly, he's called the superintendent on going back on her word. So, a question of her integrity. In the future, and we work very hard at advocacy at the state level. We have our governmental relations contractors, Eric Kearney and George Glover, who work with the legislature and the governor to put CPS in a favorable position for funding down the road, for changes in legislature that will help urban school districts achieve equity with their suburban counterparts. So immediately it would be a challenge to our superintendent's integrity. And down the road, I don't believe that we would be considered as seriously when we ask for, not advantages, but for equity for the children in the urban districts in our state. So I think that it wasn't just a one-time vote, but it's going to have longer-term repercussions.
Wow, I think that's unfortunate. And I think if that's true, in my opinion, I think that if I don't blame the superintendent in that. For me, I would have to put more blame on the school board, one, for the decisions that you made, and then two, on just an unfair decision and position that the governor put you on. I mean, for me, this is speaking my personal position, Melanie, I think it's unfair. And it's an example of how humans can be worse than COVID, in my opinion, for the governor to try to leverage getting a vaccine during a global pandemic with somehow publicly criticizing the school board or the superintendent. I mean, we should all be on the same page in terms of public health, don't you think?
Well, I think you're absolutely right on both counts. This was the board's responsibility, and we were put in an untenable situation because if we voted not to accept the governor's offer, we would have had an outcry that we weren't protecting our teachers. So, the school board was, chose what we thought was the safest route, and directing the superintendent to sign the document saying we would go back. But at the end of the day, it was her signature on that line and not the school board, even though the school board directed her to sign the document that went to the governor with the commitment to go back in some form, and then the school board retracted that decision. So yes, you're right. This is squarely on the school board, and the governor put us on a very aggressive schedule that the board felt that Walnut couldn't keep.
Right. After the community let their voice be heard, because initially, I wonder if it wasn't for Mike Morosky bringing this up, how would the school board have really have voted? I mean, even with all that said, you still voted against the idea. So one thing and again, we're a little bit beyond it, but it would give me some context to try to understand the decision-making process. So, you were I still don't understand, with everything that's happened now, why it wasn't a better idea to prevent a lot of this. Because right now you got people who are saying, well, the school system should have kept his word, which I don't really believe. If it's public health or your word to the governor, it should always be public health. It should always be public health no matter what. But then too, now you got people who are saying like, well, Walnut Hill's being treated differently. Oh, okay, they've got some privilege, right? And to me, all of this could have been avoided, and it would have been safer to just remain virtual for everybody until at least March, which, as I understand it, that still would have been in compliance with what the governor's wishes were, right? He wanted to see a return to school, even if it's hybrid, by March 1st. Then that would have given the teachers a chance to get maybe even a second round of vaccinations. Why didn't you vote for that, Melanie? Why was that? I don't understand why that was not an option that the majority of the school board chose to start in March.
Well, for one, the superintendent believed that a phase-in approach logistically was best for the schools, for maintaining hygiene and cleanliness, and to phase in the different grade levels rather than one day send everybody back after buildings being dormant, after having teachers switch to a different in-person curriculum. So that was a recommendation of the superintendent that I supported and voted for. And then on the other hand, I guess personally, I have a daughter who's been teaching in another public school district unvaccinated for all but two weeks this year, 5 days a week. And they have not seen an increase in cases. We have case studies all over the area and the state that show that the transmission just is very low. So the way I look at it, it's risk. So if you want no risk, we shouldn't go back, or we should have waited longer. If you want low risk and higher academic and instruction time, then you go back as we are, 2 days a week and 2 days off with one remote. If you want a little higher risk, a medium risk, go back to 5 days. So, and we offered options, and there are many people who are on the other side of this and want their children in Walnut and other schools, 2 to 5 days a week. And we're hearing it all across the board. So, and those folks at Walnut don't have the option. That option was taken away. So we haven't changed the option. We are, we're still offering the Digital Academy and online, AP courses for Walnut and all of our other high schools. But those who wanted to go back are either leaving us or, they're left without an option.
Yeah, well, so back to my first question about why not start in March. And I hear you. I do remember watching that when the superintendent said she suggested they do a phase-in approach, which, that makes sense. But you could have did a phase-in approach starting in March. Just like
we had to be in some form by March 1st. March 1st was our deadline by the governor. So we had to have everybody in some form 2 days a week. Like our preschoolers are going 4 days a week, actually, by March 1st. So we couldn't start March 1st. We had to be in March 1st.
Oh, okay. I understand. I understand.
So yeah, and you know, none of this is easy.
Had to
I
be
mean,
when you say had to be in, what I don't I'm so had to be in or what?
but or you know, we were in violation of the agreement with the governor, which is a situation we put the superintendent in, even though it was the board's decision.
So looking back, what could the board have done differently, do you think?
I'm not sure what we could have done differently. To ask teachers to teach online or remotely and in person is you know, asking teachers to teach two curricula simultaneously that they're not trained for or have planned for. So that would have been a tremendous ask of our teachers. Right now, our teachers in the schools, each school can make a decision. This is Plan C that's underway, to come up with a third alternative for the students who want to remain remote, and that includes Walnut. So some teachers, you know, are opting for, you know, stand in front of a microphone and a camera and lecture. But in other schools that are project based, like Clark and Aiken is New Tech, so that's all computer based. They have to come up with their own solutions. So that's the third alternative that's being developed.
Yeah, I mean, there was some parents, including myself, who were like, well, again, at the time in which these decisions were made, we were in the purple. Okay, things are getting a little bit better now because now we're in the red. But still, you know, COVID is still a danger. And in the community, it's still at a dangerous level, right? And so there was a lot of questions about what criteria that the board was using to make this decision. And was it about public health or was it about something else? Okay, so at this point, here we are at the end of February, we are where we are. And think about this, Melanie, think about how things worked out. Because of snow days, everybody was virtual anyway, right? It's like,
right,
you know,
we didn't.
It's like we ended up being,
hook, right?
most of the kids ended up being virtual anyway, right? So it's like, you know, so why not err on the safest option? And again, we're going back here. I'm trying to get a sense of how you think about this and how you make your decisions. But why not err on the side of caution? Like some would say, we're near the end of the school year. Okay, we go back to school in March. Okay, we go back when it's safer. You know, why was that ever an option in your mind? And if not, why not?
Well, it was an option before we were asked to make a decision about early vaccinations for teachers. So Melanie thought that the safer option was to make sure the teachers got vaccinated. Now, if we decided to go later than March, unless the teachers were 65 and older, they weren't going to get vaccinated. So that's the balance. What's safer, you know, to have teachers go back unvaccinated or to vaccinate and have them go back earlier? And both situations are not what I'd call no risk, but that's what we were faced with. And so I supported a lower risk, you know, having the teachers vaccinated, having all the precautions taken, which we have, and sending the kids back, you know, in accordance with the governor's request that our superintendent signed off for. So, and again, it was a board decision. So, you know, superintendent had to sign, and she was put in a very difficult situation politically with the governor.
Yeah, I definitely see that. When was this decision made? When was this decision made by the board along with the superintendent to sign this agreement for the vaccinations with the governor?
I believe it was at our board workshop on January 16th. It was a Saturday meeting.
Was this disclosed to the public? Or was this information only brought out because of freedom of information requests?
No, it was a publicly broadcast meeting.
Yeah, I know the meeting was publicly broadcast, but was this information about, because I don't remember this. I don't remember this in that particular, again, I might have missed it, but I do remember viewing as much as these broadcasts as possible. And I don't remember an agreement between the school board for vaccination saying this is when we want you to come back? Again, I might have missed it, but you're saying this was a part of the public conversation?
Yes, and I'm trying to recall. I'm not sure if we voted on it or we just by consensus told the superintendent to go ahead and make the commitment. It may not have. I'm just trying to recall. It may not have been a vote. Okay, here we go. On January 18th, we signed the commitment. So on the 16th, we had the superintendent directed to sign the agreement by the board. And then following the submission of that form, the board voted twice to affirm the choice. So even after that, we voted twice. And then we voted to delay Walnut Hills because there was information that some parents were bringing to us.
Okay.
They were not in favor of the 3-foot social distancing. They wanted the 6-foot social distancing. And over 6 foot is the best. 6 foot is safe. 3 to 6 is less safe than 6 feet, and under 3 feet really is not acceptable. And that's CDC guidelines.
Right. And again, I'm a Walnut Hills parent, so I remember receiving that information. To me, it seemed like it was going to be less than 3 feet. I mean, the way that they were measuring it from the middle of the seat to the middle of the seat, it just seemed like it was going to be less than 3 feet. And then in the hallways, I'm sure you've been to Walnut Hills, so you know the situation with the overcrowding there. I think the concern is that just logistically, that Walnut Hills was not going to be able to create the kind of safe environment that some of the other schools in CPS are able to do, just because they don't have the same crowding issues. Was that how you looked at it?
Well, I mean, there are other ways. There were adjustments made to, adding plexiglass in some areas. We could remove the teachers' desks, for instance, to bring more room availability. In nicer weather, kids can eat outside. My 3 kids went to Walnut Hills, and they ate outside rather than inside. We could employ other facilities, and that was a suggestion that I made, because Jacobs Center, which used to be the old Cape, is offices, and there are some students there, but very specialized classrooms. And, the suggestion was maybe send 7th or 8th or 9th to 12th grade out there. But, some teachers teach all grade levels, and they would have to travel. And that was a concern, and we would have to invest in, a remodel of Jacobs. But that's a facility that exists right now that, it just was not acceptable to, the suggestion was not accepted by the board and superintendent. It was deemed really not practical to move some of Walnut to Jacobs. So the dilemma is, let's keep the kids at Walnut and try to reduce the overcrowding. Now, we also asked how many out-of-district students we have, and we have around 150. So, a suggestion I'm going to make tonight when the discussion comes up is that we not renew open enrollment students, and we not accept anymore, and only accept students who live within the CPS boundaries. And in a case of overcrowding, that's acceptable by Ohio Revised Code. So that wouldn't give a lot of relief, but we really shouldn't be accepting kids out of district if we can't accommodate our own students.
Speaking with Melanie Bates, she's a CPS board member. Hey, Melanie, I want to mix in, how much time do you have this morning?
Oh, I'm good. I have an 11 o'clock Zoom, but I'm not sure you're going to want to listen to me for that long.
Okay, great. I got some questions from the audience. Mary says there is nothing in that contract that every school had to have started by March 1st.
That's right. It was a very general contract, so that's correct. And I did ask the superintendent about Walnut specifically before we authorized her to sign it, and she said she just didn't know if it was all inclusive or not. So again, that was something that wasn't specifically asked beforehand.
Okay,
asked of the governor, I should say, but it was discussed. So yes, it is a general letter. So the governor's interpretation that it was across the board. The board's interpretation is that, in safe environments.
okay, so you're saying that Mary's comment is correct, that there is in fact nothing
Yes.
in the contract that you signed.
That's correct. It just says open schools in some form by March 1st. So it was a very general comment. It didn't have exclusions or exceptions.
Okay, well, Melanie, I brought that up earlier. I was like, well, if there's nothing in the contract, if what Mary is saying is true, then I don't understand what the big urgency is then by CPS to try to push everything back by March 1st.
Well, it was specific to March 1st.
Say again, Melanie.
It was the deadline was specific to March 1st, and there weren't exclusions. So the interpretation that we took, or the administration took away, was that schools had to be open by March 1st until the board decided not to reopen Walnut in person. And that's when we got the pushback from the governor.
I'm sorry. I live near one of those. I'm sorry,
that's
Melanie.
when he made it clear that he meant all schools.
Okay, he made it clear that he meant all schools.
Right, when we voted to keep Walnut remote. That's correct.
Oh, okay. But you're saying that when you signed the contract, it was a little bit blurred. It wasn't specific.
It was not specific. It was a general open by March 1st.
Okay. Okay, I get it. I think I get it. I'm just trying to figure out two things. I'm trying to figure out from the board standpoint. See, for me, I just feel like if there's any blame to go along, I blame the board, and then I blame the governor for putting you guys in an untenable situation. To me, I think that's unfair to say we want you to go back despite any of the particular issues that one particular school building might have. Like previous to COVID, everybody knew that Walnut Hills had an overcrowding problem, right? This was all well known.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yes.
Then why should Walnut Hills be put in jeopardy because of a cookie cutter one size all agreement that makes people less safe? To me, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So if you and I go into an agreement, but then I realize after I sign the agreement with you that it's going to put me and my family at risk, then guess what? To hell with your agreement, because my safety is more important than any agreement. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't that make sense?
Well, it does. I mean, you're right. But then there are other parents who want their kids at Walnut if it's only 2 days a week. And if some parents want their kids remote and the others want their children in, we may be able to get to the 6 feet for the children whose families want them in. But those families don't have an option.
They do have an option. The option was they were virtual, right? See, for me, Melanie, the virtual option is not perfect. It's not perfect. Nobody wants to be virtual, right? Everybody, the vast majority of parents want their kids to go to school. Like I have a child as a kindergartner and I have a child as a 10th grader. One of my children's at Walnut Hills. The other one is not at Walnut Hills. Okay. So for me personally, from my expertise and my experience, it would be best if they're in school 5 days a week. The only reason why they're not is because of COVID, because we're dealing with a public health crisis, the possibility of getting sick. You have some children that may be asymptomatic. They might bring something home to me and my wife. It could have a serious effect of us. So that's the only reason why they're not there. And to me, until we get everything is clear, why not stay safe for everybody and stay virtual? I didn't understand it. And I still don't understand it. But now I'm starting to understand, like, oh, the board signed on with this agreement with the governor. And then you guys wanted to make sure that you came through on your word with the governor, even if, this is my opinion, even if it put people's health at risk. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, you're correct. But there are some families who will take the low risk, and we're denying those families that opportunity. And in other schools, families have that opportunity.
Other schools, you mean outside of CPS?
No, like Aiken. The children are going back 1 day remote, 2 days in, 2 days independent study. Or they have the virtual option, or they have the online AP classes option. At Walnut, the kids are all remote. So those families do not have an option for in class, even if they want it. So we're denying families who will take a low risk that option at Walnut, but we're not denying it at the other school.
Right. Well,
so that's another dilemma.
Well, is it really though, Melanie? Is it really? You said, no, now, what was the school? What's the exam? Did you say Aiken?
I used Aiken as an example, yes. But all of our other high schools will be going back 1 day remote, 2 days in person, and 2 days independent study, all but Walnut.
Yeah.
So I said Aiken, but it could be Taft, it could be Spencer, it could be any of those.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit, Melanie. Yeah, I hear you, but I think it's always a mistake when you start to compare CPS to smaller school districts. Like, how many buildings does the Aiken school system have?
No, Aiken is one of ours.
I'm sorry, right? Aiken is one of ours, right? And you're saying that they have gone back and did what now?
They will be going back. I think this week. The one group of Aiken.
Right.
Back.
Forgive me. You're absolutely right about that.
So those families, and I'm just picking on the Aiken, those children and families have the option of going back blended or virtual, or if their teachers develop the Plan C, which the schools are now given, clearance to do so. But at Walnut, that the option to go blended was taken away for those families that want it. And what I'm saying is, if there's many families that totally do not want their children in school, they want no risk, which I respect, that perhaps we could do the social distancing at a greater level for the children who want to go and their families want them to go. You see what I'm saying?
No, I understand.
But that
I understand.
Is taken away from those families.
Right. I hear you. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So does Aiken have the same crowding and space issues as Walnut Hills?
No, they don't. They absolutely do not.
Well, that's what the difference
but again,
is.
My point is, we're not mandating kids to go back blended. So if there's a large number of kids at Walnut who don't go back, the ones that do go back can have the social distancing that's more equitable. You see what I'm saying?
Was that part of the plan? So I think at the board member, the last board meeting in which the vote was for Walnut Hills, the plan was for Walnut Hills was to slowly be integrated into 2 days per week. Okay, that was the plan for Walnut Hills.
Well, no, that was before the 5-2 vote. That was 2 votes before that.
That was 2 votes before that.
Right. There were 2 votes sending everybody back blended.
Right.
And then the last vote was to exclude Walnut Hills.
You vote to exclude Walnut Hills, right. And if you had not voted to exclude Walnut Hills, if you had not voted to exclude Walnut Hills, then Walnut Hills would have went back to school last week.
Well, some of the kids would have.
Some of the kids, right.
Because it
would have been 2 days per week, right?
2 days of half the students, 2 days of the other half the students, and then 1 day remote for everybody.
Right. And even in that plan, because of the overcrowding, the concern is that it still wasn't going to be enough spacing between the kids, even with that plan. And that's the reason why a lot of parents and members of the communities let their voice be heard. Isn't that correct?
Right. But if we didn't make it mandatory, and since then, the superintendent has come up with a Plan C.
Okay.
That each school can come up with a way to have students remain remote. And that didn't exist. Well, actually, that was presented to the board before the vote.
Right.
And so teachers can now, and some schools are doing that. There's a number of elementary schools that are offering the remote option in addition to the blended option because their students or their teachers came up with a plan and curriculum to be able to do that. And it varies from school to school and program to program. So it's not a district-wide option. It's a school-by-school option. And Walnut was offered that option as well. I'm just not sure. I know they're working on it. So there may be a third option for families who want their children to remain home. And it's going to be discussed tonight. And I know that the families of the Walnut children who want to be in school are working with Mr. Chambers and the LSDMC at Walnut to bring forward a Plan C.
Okay.
But we shouldn't deny that group that opportunity. And we should have some, and whatever we do, we should do equitably. But some families will assume the low risk and some families want no risk. And that's totally their personal choice.
Well, and then some families want the lowest risk possible. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's a space in there. Like there's some parents who understand that kids going to go back. They just want the lowest risk possible. Same thing with the teachers. We've been talking about the parents, but a lot of teachers were upset about this because they felt like they were being forced to go back before the vaccines came in. And the question was, well, can we wait until March 1st? At least we can get the vaccines, get some layer of protection, and then we can start to go back into blended. But the majority of the school board, including yourself, voted against that. And I do remember.
Well, except we were not, every teacher who was going back had the opportunity for round one of the vaccine. So every teacher who was going back had some form of vaccine, or unless they decided not to take it on their own. So the first group that went back mid-January had one vaccine under their belt. And actually that group now has 2 vaccines under their belt. The second round started on Saturday. So no teacher was asked to go back without at least having opportunity for one vaccination.
Okay, so you're saying that when school started, that all the teachers had at least one round of vaccinations before they were in the school building?
Yes, if they wanted it. And 70% of the teachers opted in.
Okay.
And that was a personal decision. It wasn't mandated. It was encouraged, but it wasn't mandated.
Huh.
And there's no penalties for teachers who didn't take it because there's reasons. You're not permitted to get the vaccine. It's recommended not to get the vaccine if you've had COVID within the last 90 days. Those teachers would not take the vaccine. There are some people who just don't believe in vaccines. They don't get their flu shots, and that's their personal choice. Those individuals could opt not to get the vaccine. So there's varying reasons why people didn't get it, but every teacher who was phased in had at least the opportunity for one vaccine, and now 1/3 of the teachers have their second one under their belt, even before March 1st.
Is that right? Okay. I have to double check with that. That sounds new to me, Melanie. I'll be honest with you. That sounds like new information. But I'll confirm.
On Saturday, it was the teachers from round one were at Duke Energy Center getting round 2.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just double check on that because that sounds new to me. But it is what it is. Back to the audience. People have a lot of questions coming in. I'll be honest with you. People are saying you're talking in circles, Melanie. They're saying you're talking in circles. Someone says the January 16th letter was presented at the public meeting. Let me see. Where's it at here? Yeah, because what it comes down to is it sounds like there was an option to start in March. Okay. So we've gone in circles here, but it sounds like that was an option and it just wasn't chosen.
The deadline was March 1st. Yeah. Deadline was March 1st.
Right. So yeah, the deadline was March 1st. And as you said earlier, there's some gray area. It wasn't specific. So CPS could have started the process in March 1st or even late February. So that could have happened. And that would have been safer in the minds of a lot of people. And again, we're beyond that on some levels, but it is what it is. So what's what's the future now here? Because someone's asking about what's the plan for the new variants. There's new variants. We keep hearing more and more about it. It could be more contagious. It could be more lethal. We don't know whether the vaccines are going to work or not. Speaking of vaccines, as a school board member, were you available to get vaccinated?
I was called off of a wait list. So I would have been eligible with the third group.
I can't hear you, Melanie. Are you on speaker?
No, I'm not on speaker. Is this better?
Yeah, that's much better. Yes.
Okay. So I would have been eligible. Number one, I'm over 65, so I'm eligible now. I would have been eligible under the third group, which is central office. But I was called off of a wait list earlier, and I have a son who works at an inner city clinic and works on a COVID floor at one of the local hospitals. He's a graduate nursing student. And he said, and we have Pfizer. This makes sense. He said that Pfizer and Moderna are 5 doses per vial, but Pfizer, you can often get 6 doses per vial. So as not to waste vaccines and get them into arms, there were wait lists created. And at one of the sessions, I was called and asked if I, at the end of the day, and said, can I come in within 20 minutes? So I got in my car and I went. So yeah, I was probably 2 weeks early, but yes, it was available to me because I agreed to be on the wait list.
Okay. So it had nothing to do with you being a member of the school board.
The union president and, other central office leaders were given one of the first vaccinations, but I did not stand next to the superintendent. I rushed in off the wait list.
Okay. So it had nothing to do with you being a school board member in terms of getting your vaccine. That had nothing in terms of giving you any advantage or pushing you ahead of the line or anything like that?
I was told you had to be CPS to be on the wait list. So, because I have a friend with stage 4 cancer, and I asked, can she be on the wait list? And they said, no, only CPS. So being CPS gave me the advantage to being on the wait list.
Okay. This whole thing.
I was ineligible in the third round, or because I'm over 65.
I understand. This whole thing, Melanie, has really, again, when you're talking about people's children and you're talking about human beings' lives, the knives come out. And there are a lot of really, really strong opinions about this. I have a very strong opinion about it because I have skin in the game. I'm from Cincinnati, grew up in Cincinnati, graduated from the Cincinnati Public School. My children are in CPS right now. My daughter goes to Walnut Hill, so this means a whole lot to me. And when you have a situation like that, man, the knives come out and the tempers come out. I'm sure you've seen that. There's a lot of really strong opinions about this on both sides. And I've heard you talk about parents at Walnut and parents in general saying that they want to go back. I was curious as to why didn't the board do another parent survey, let's say late December, early January, and then use that to help make and inform your decision that you ended up making? Well, really the decision was made back last year and you guys kind of carried through to January, right? But why wasn't there another round of public surveys or parent surveys that went out so you can get a better snapshot of how the parents felt about your plans?
There was at least one survey, and I really don't know why there wasn't a second. I know that that the leadership team works nonstop, and I'm sure their focus was, to follow the plan of the superintendent and board. But as far as why we didn't have another survey, we had one, and that was what we went on.
Yeah, but does that make sense though, Melanie? When you did the first survey, it was last year. That was before Hamilton County went into the purple. and the infections went up, the deaths and hospitalization went up. So obviously when the environment changes, it's going to impact people's opinion. Why didn't you as a board member push to do another parent survey to help inform your decision and the decision of the board?
Well, you're right. I didn't. I believed I was getting good information from the health department and Children's Hospital. And even though we made a decision when we were in purple, the projection was when the decision was implemented to go back, that the spike would have subsided and positives would decrease, and that's what happened. So I relied on the data projections and did not request another survey.
Do you value the opinion?
And parents,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh
Melanie.
yes, that's okay. No, with our virtual meetings, our participation and viewings have. I mean, it's really pretty amazing how many families are viewing our meetings. And we've talked to the treasurer because she said, it costs us $10,000 every time we run a meeting. And we said, yeah, let's stop putting up billboards. So yes, we do. And we have hours of public comment. So we do value, and we have increased engagement, at least the board has, through our meetings. Way much more so than before COVID.
Right. And, at least the last couple of board meetings, as you were making these decisions about going back, again, tell me if I'm wrong, but overwhelmingly, the parents that I heard were saying, look, don't go back. This isn't safe. Overwhelmingly, the teachers that I heard were saying, don't go back. This isn't safe. Don't do this. Why? Wait until March. And yet you still voted against it. I don't understand why. Well,
I was also getting emails and letters that the public didn't see. So those that spoke to overturn a decision. Those that supported the option for their students to go in person believe that the board had already spoken twice. So they didn't feel, that's what I'm hearing, they didn't feel the urgency to advocate because twice the board voted to allow Walnut students to go back. But since then, I spend hours going through emails, and it's some people want remote, some people want their kids in, some people want 5 days a week, some people want out of the district. I'm getting, all of the board members are getting input from many families with many different perspectives. So yeah, there was a group that was organized to lobby at that particular meeting, but I also heard from the other side through different media.
I'm sure. What is your opinion of Walnut Hills parents? And I'm asking this, Melanie, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's some information about you circulating on social media. Are you aware of this? And apparently,
yes, it was. And I must say that it was a secretly videotaped meeting, and it's under legal review. So I'm not sure we want to go there, but yes.
Okay. Well, for folks who don't know, allegedly, you were at the St. Bernard pub on the 19th. What is that? Friday? Let me double check here. The 19th is Friday. Were you at the St. Bernard pub on the 19th?
Yes.
Okay. And apparently you were at this pub, and there are some concerned parents and even teachers who are saying that they overheard you saying some things that were very not flattering, including, quote, "I'm so sick of these Walnut Hills people. They think they're special." And for me, my style is this, Melanie. I don't mind asking the questions. I believe in being fair. And when things are out there about people, I'll invite them on the show and ask them, and they can set the record straight. So that's my purpose in doing this. I want you to set the record straight because it's about you. Okay, so that's the spirit in which I'm saying this to you. And then allegedly, you were overheard as saying, "Suck it up and go back to work. They're a bunch of fucking whiners making $70,000 to $80,000 a year. Suck it up and go back to work. Speaking of the teachers, is this true?
Well, again, it's under legal review because it was an illegally videotaped, secretly videotaped video. I was at a private table, socially distanced, with a group of my best friends. And as you can imagine, and what I said is consistent with my vote, in a private conversation with good friends, I use casual, to say the casual terminology. I wasn't speaking publicly, but it wasn't overheard. It was secretly videotaped. And that I would caution people to be very careful about because it's under legal review.
I am aware of those recordings. But I am choosing not to play them.
Right, for the teachers, it was, and my friends who were with me I'm pretty much narrowing in on who did that. So again, it's kind of a legal issue at this point.
Okay, I listen. I get it.
Yeah, it was a private conversation. I was venting, and I was with some of my best friends, like people I invite to my kids' weddings. It wasn't a public anything. And if somebody saw me and eavesdropped and taped, then, shame on them. And shame on them in the least. And it could escalate legally.
Yeah, let's do what you got to do, Melanie. I understand.
That's
and
right.
You're right. It was
right.
It was you. From what I understand, I wasn't there. I'm getting this from people who are alleging that they overheard you say this, but it was also in public. From what I was told, you was talking very, very loudly, and the people involved were very shocked that you would be so candid in public about such a sensitive issue. I was also told that you even talked about Ryan Messer, your colleague, and express your disappointment in him, changing his vote. Now, I spoke with Ryan on this show, and on this show many weeks ago, he expressed to us that he had reservations about Walnut Hills. And I challenged him to voice those opinions and to articulate it because it's about public health. Is that true? Do you have some issue with Ryan Messer, even if it's a small issue, because he changed his vote?
Yes, and I discussed that with him.
Okay.
So Ryan knows how I feel, and I'm not angry with him. He has a right to a vote, and I was disappointed in the vote, and that's so that Right. And Ryan knows that, and I've told him that face to face. But this is not a public place. This was we were socially distanced. It was a private table against a wall, and I was speaking with close friends with a general expectation of privacy. So if somebody saw me, came close, and overheard, because it was a large table, but it was all close friends.
Yeah, I've seen the photographs of it. I mean, I have them. Again, I'm choosing not to share them because I would rather just ask you directly until I can confirm it from the person involved.
I was there. I'm not denying I didn't speak to friends. What I am saying is that there was a general expectation of privacy because I was with close friends. Understandably, as many people feel frustration, I was feeling frustration. And if somebody secretly videotaped me, we're kind of narrowing in on who that person could be.
Well, again, just trying to get to the bottom of it. Allegedly, what you said was, I'm so sick of these Walnut Hills people. They think they're so special. I'm one of those Walnut Hills people. I don't think I'm special, Melanie. I just know the difference between safe and not safe, and right and wrong, and things that make sense and don't make sense. Do you have a problem with Walnut Hills parents who voice their concern about their children being in a unsafe condition?
Well, it's a little bit more than that. All of us, every board member is receiving harassing emails and letters. So it's getting personal. And that's what I object to. And we don't allow bullying with our students. So why would the board allow bullying against themselves?
So you feel like
So
Warner
it
Hill's
goes
parents are
beyond-
bullying you?
Well, yeah, taking a secret video and circulating it. If one of our students did that, it would be handled under the code of conduct as bullying. Correct?
I don't know. I will
Yeah,
say that
it
my
sure
daughter has
would.
dealt with bullying at Warner Hills and it wasn't taken seriously. So it depends on the scenario. But I don't know. I mean, this is your opinion. If you feel like it's bullying, that's what it is. To me, it's kind of like if you didn't say anything, out of pocket, then there would be nothing. There'll be no conversation, right? Like, to me, if you actually said these things, I'll be honest with you, Melanie, if in fact you said these things, even in confidence with your friends, it says something about how you view the parents. And that's part of the reason why you're in that position, right? For the students and the parents.
Well, I would say the frustration is directed at those who are aggressively harassing and bullying board members. So perhaps not generally, but I think every board member can say that they've received harassing emails, letters disparaging our character, and it gets very frustrating when things get very personal.
I can understand that. I can understand.
And when you're with friends, I'm sure everyone, when they were with friends, have said things that they would not say, but not everybody is secretly taped.
But what about the teachers?
And that's,
if these comments are true, you also refer to the teachers as fucking whiners making $70,000 to $80,000 a year. Suck it up and go back to work. These are people who are being asked to be on the front line while dealing with a lethal virus. So I can understand on some levels your frustration with the parents, but why do you have a frustration with the teachers?
well, again, as I said earlier, all teachers are being asked to go back after they've had at least one opportunity for a vaccine. And we did that, and then we received pushback saying, oh, that's not enough. The superintendent signed the letter. This is very frustrating.
Yeah, but that letter isn't going to keep people safe in the classroom, right? I mean, letter schmatter, like I keep saying, I mean, if I sign on to an agreement and then realize that agreement is going to put my family at risk, I don't care about the agreement. That's just me. So you're saying you got frustration with the teachers because the teachers are complaining and you feel like the teachers didn't sign the agreement. The board and the superintendent did, right?
And then on the other side is if we did not sign the agreement and the teachers did not get priority for vaccines, we would have had another group talking about woulda, coulda, shoulda.
True. Here's another quote. Tell me if this is something.
We were all put in an untenable situation.
You were. Well, COVID is untenable in and of itself. And that's why I say people in leadership should always see. I don't think that anybody would blame the school board if at the end of the day, if you err on the side of caution, because that's why we voted you in the office, to look after the safety, well-being, and educational foundation of our children. But safety and well-being are a part of it. So yeah, you might have some people that complain here, back, and other, but if at the end of the day, leaders err on the side of caution, I don't think at the end of the day you have no problems with it. But let me ask you this, quote, now I'm supposed to care about these kids' grandmas? I don't care about your grandma. Did you say that as well? You don't care about kids being asymptomatic and then taking it back to their grandparents and it could kill them?
Well, I don't recall. I mean, people obviously have a video, so they have an advantage. I would like the person who ran the video, who secretly taped the video, to give the video to me so I could see what I said, because quite honestly, I don't think anybody can remember every word of every conversation they've had with friends. So I would have not seen the video. I would welcome to see the video. I would love to have a copy of it. And then I can say, yeah, so right now, people out there who have the secret video, an allegedly illegal video, have an advantage over what I said.
So you're saying you don't remember?
Quite frankly, I don't remember everything that was said.
Okay.
So yes, whoever has the video, and if you can give me the video, I think that would be awesome.
It's not mine to give. You know, like I said, I'm not playing the video for my own reasons, and I'm asking you directly, and you'll have to deal with the source on that, not through me. But I'll be honest with you. You know, I can understand people having a moment of frustration. I give you that, Melanie. But it makes me wonder how much you really give a damn about the parents and the students. I'll be honest with you. You know, if these comments in fact are true, and let's say you were you drinking as well, Melanie?
I had 2 beers with a fish sandwich.
Okay, so you had a couple of beers. Were you a little tipsy?
Well, at that point, I maybe had a half a beer.
Okay, so just a half a beer. Okay. Is it fair to say that you were affected by your drinking?
No.
You don't think so? You weren't affected? You weren't tipsy or?
No, I mean, you know me, I'm not a small person. Okay. And a half a beer would not affect me. No.
I was only going to say, because we all know as adults that when people start drinking, they sober thoughts, they honest thoughts come out. And I'm wondering if this wasn't a part of why you said these things. You're among friends, you think nobody's paying attention, you're drinking, the real Melanie Bates comes out. You know, I'll be honest with you, that's what I'm looking at right here. I'm thinking, is this the real Melanie Bates, or is the fake Melanie Bates the person that you put out in public? That's the concern I have now. It was also allegedly that you said, I don't give a shit, vote me out. As if people don't like the way you voted and what you have to say, then vote you out.
Again, whoever took this video, please forward it to me so I can review my comments. Because at this point, 3 days later, I don't remember every word of that conversation. But evidently, there's a secretly videotaped video circulating. So apparently other people do. So I think it would only be fair if I got to see the video. So I would love a copy of it. Welcome a copy of it.
Okay.
By whoever took it.
I think that whoever took it is probably watching this right now.
Mm-hmm. So yes, please send it to me.
Yeah, but you do know that in public you have, as again, I'm no lawyer, but as I understand it, when it comes to recordings, that in public there is no expectation that you have privacy when you're in public. You might turn up on somebody's video. I do know that, which is a little bit different than recording someone who's having a conversation that you're not a part of. So again, that's up to you and your legal team to decide as to whether you can make a case out of it. Again, as a parent, right. As a Walnut Hills parent, and you referred to allegedly Walnut Hills parents in there, I'm concerned by that because I feel like you really don't give a damn and or understand parents in our plight. And that when you're in front of people, you're just being fake and putting up a polite front. But that when you're with your friends and you're drinking, eating a fish sandwich, this is the real Melanie Bates. This is how you really feel about us. Is it fair for me to feel that way?
Well, I guess I can say I'm also a grandma of 2 kids in Cincinnati public schools that are back. I am the mother of a teacher in a public school district that's been back 5 days a week, and also the mother of a son who works in compromising situations with the disease. So I take that's part of my experience as well.
Someone writes, let's not talk about how they totally ignored the bullying issue with CPS, which I thought that was ironic. You said you feel like you're being bullied again, we won't even talk about the parents of Gabriel Tae, right? We won't even talk about that case. But I'm here to tell you that there's a whole lot of bullying incidents that happen in CPS, and don't nobody give a damn. So to hear you now, a board member, say that about bullying because you're getting pressure from parents who are concerned that you're making a decision and puts their kids at risk is ironic, to say the least, Melanie. I got to be honest with you. Even in my own personal experience with my daughter, I'm telling you that your kid can get bullied, and even black folks can be in charge. And depending on how they feel about it, they may or may not take it seriously, just so you know that, whatever that means. Do you want to take this time to apologize to the parents for your statements that you made at this bar?
Well, of course. I mean, I apologize if people were offended by statements. Of course, I do not want to have parents think I'm uncaring, but I also want them to understand that, you know, we're human too. So yes, I would offer an apology, but
Okay.
to kind of think of us as not just people, you know, on Zoom who sit on a pedestal, but are real people with grandkids and kids who are in equally compromising situations, and there are varying opinions.
Dan writes, she's missing the point. Illegally taped or not, this is not appropriate conversation to have at a public place. That's from the audience.
Again, it was a socially distanced table against a wall, and somebody had to get pretty darn close to tape this. This was not like I was, at a bar yelling across to people I didn't know. This was a private table with close friends.
Somebody writes, pardon me, she remembers what she ate and drank, but not what she said. It's tough in here. I'm telling you, Melanie, it's tough in here.
I have the receipt.
Yeah. Somebody writes, you better blame it on the alcohol. That's hilarious.
Well, if half a beer does it, I guess that's,
It's getting real. It's getting real heated in here. Somebody writes, she's tired of the job. Are you tired of being a CPS board member?
No, I'm not tired of being a CPS board member. It's a very difficult situation, and I'm not going to make everyone happy.
Well, you're not going to make everyone happy. That's for sure. No matter what your decision is, you're not going to get 100%. But that's not the goal. The goal is to err on the side of public health, do what's right by the school system, and I think represent the majority, right? You can't represent the minority. You should represent the majority, I think. Somebody writes, she has to go. She has to go. I guess they're speaking of you on the school board.
Okay.
Yeah, but like you said that day, you don't really give a shit, right? I don't give a shit. Vote me out. That's what you said. So I mean, you're not really concerned about people saying that this morning, are you?
Well, what I do care about is what I believe in. So I vote convictions, and apparently I think differently than some people.
Okay.
So what I said is consistent with my votes. Okay. I'm not saying one thing and voting a different way. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
So what consistent. I'm voting is public.
That is true. Somebody writes, it was a little bit of a comment of support. Here it is. Kamika writes, I think it's ridiculous for people to act like they don't have different professional and public conversations and thoughts. I think that's fair. You're right. We have private conversations, but I think that when your private conversation blends into your public life, I mean, it can become a problem for you. Are you saying that you're going to pursue legal options against whoever taped this and recorded this and put it out to the media? Is that what you're saying? Is that what your plan is?
Well, I'm not going to threaten anybody, but it's under review.
Somebody writes,
which is fair.
Yeah, I mean, you could do what you got to do. Rolando writes, you are uncaring. How does it make you feel to hear people say that?
Well, I would say it's not true, and I would say my priorities for having, I've worked for almost 20 years now to bring CPS, along with my colleagues and the administration, to bring CPS up to the status and academic excellence of any high school, any district in the state. Even with the challenges that we have community learning centers. We're not only keeping our kids out of school, but when children, Growing Well has told us, has reported, Growing Well is the agency that oversees the wraparound services, that the referrals at the health centers are down, way down. Mental health referrals are way down. Dental referrals are way down. Vision referrals are way down. So it's not just a school issue. Children aren't receiving mental health services when they are out of school. So my caring, I would think, takes on that dimension, that I feel we are keeping families away from services that they would get if they were in the schools. And people don't think of everything, that all the barriers that we have taken down to achieve a higher academic excellence. And when everybody else is in school, it's like, wow, we work so hard to bring these kids, all of our kids, to a high level of academic excellence, and they haven't been in school. And a lot, 30 to 50% aren't even logging in. So I guess I'm a supporter of low risk, not no risk, and not sacrificing academic excellence or the services that come with our schools, which the kids are being deprived of.
I hear you. I mean, it's a tough situation. The only thing is, and I would give you a break. See, I don't think that the school board is keeping kids from learning. I don't think you had any other decision. It's COVID, Melanie. It's not you. It's not you and your colleagues. You and the school board made the right decision to go virtual because you made a decision based upon the available evidence. It's bigger than you. It's out of your hands. It's in GOD's hands. You didn't start COVID. You're reacting to it. Okay. So it's just a different way of looking at it. Here you saying you're not preventing anything. You made the right decision to go virtual. And I'm not sure where your vote was on that. Maybe you voted for it, maybe you didn't. And the board in general made the right decision based upon COVID. The humans cannot be worse as COVID. Okay. We're all in this together. You're taking a lot of heat in here. Somebody writes, it's a shame you had to introduce the apology to her, which I did. I would second that. I was looking for you to just say, hey, I apologize, but I wanted to put it out there so at least can be on the record. Somebody else writes, she should resign immediately. Again, this ain't the first time I'm sure you heard these kind of things, right?
Well, actually, this is the first conversation. Yeah, it is, pretty much.
Oh, shit, okay.
And I stand on my record of 20 years. So.
Okay. I hear you on that. I hear you. Hold on, let me get my cam right. There we go. Somebody writes, November can't come soon enough. Are you up for re-election in November of this year?
Yes.
Okay. You know this is going to come back, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
All right, I'm just telling you, get ready because you definitely going to hear it. Let me see here. Somebody writes, let's give her what she wants. She's showing us who she truly is. That's tough. It's real out here. Somebody says, I'm going too far. Nate, you're going too far. Asked and answered. You really say to this lady you don't give a shit is turning into gotcha journalism. Like I said, I get it too. It comes with this business. Yeah, it is what it is. So what happens now? So what's the criteria? What is the plan for Walnut Hills to go back to in-school learning? What is the understanding that the board has? And then what are the criteria that the board is going to look at to make that decision so we know?
Well, right now it's 6-foot social distancing, but we did make I made the assignment to the superintendent about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, that we develop a more comprehensive criteria other than just the 6 feet. Because at some point it may be low risk to go back 3 feet. You know, all the teachers are vaccinated. I'm just throwing this out. You know, with all the safety measures. So that's going to be, you know, the assignment was made by me to come up with a comprehensive criteria assigning risk levels. And that is on the agenda. Right now it's 6 feet social distancing, period. But that may change, or at least be considered later this evening.
Later this evening, that could change based upon what? Because I know that CPS is going to they're going to present like an update to where we are in terms of, you know, the safety standards and what's going on here in Hamilton County. So you're saying that might change later today?
Well, I don't anticipate a vote. A vote is not on the agenda, but information may change tonight with the report of the superintendent and administration.
Okay, well, Melanie, I appreciate your time this morning and appreciate you sticking through some of them difficult questions. We'll be watching, you know, we'll be paying attention. What I would look for is before y'all make major decisions that include life and death, can we get a parent survey? I mean, CPS is paying for POSIP. So why not use POSIP to get a sense? Even it won't give you a complete, you know, picture of what every parent thinks. It will help you on some levels to inform your decision. And I think you got some damage control to do, you know, with the public, because this is just not really a good look for you with these things that you said.
Well, no, and again, I really would like a copy to see what the public is seeing that I'm not. So if somebody is out there with a copy, please send it to me.
Okay. A copy of what you said?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, Melanie, thank you for your time this morning, and let's stay connected, and we'll be paying attention.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak out and clarify. All
right. All right. Take it easy, Melanie. That's Melanie Bates right there.
Bye-bye.
CPS board member. We had her for like an hour and 15 minutes to talk about, to kind of pick her brain a little bit, get a sense of who she is. That completes, you know, me talking with all the school board members. Now I want to circle back around and perhaps have a second round of conversations. If people will talk with me, I know how this city works. Some people might be in their feelings now. And like Melanie Bates said, I don't give a damn. Be in your feelings. You see, I'm not an elected official. You can be as mad as you want to. It don't really have an impact on me. This is more so an opportunity for you than it is for me, quite honestly, to speak with the voting public. I'll say it again. The people in this audience are not just voters. The people in this audience are influencers. They're not just voters. They influence other people to vote. They influence other people in the greater Cincinnati area. All right. I'm just make sure you know where you at. But she didn't deny it. You know, she didn't 100% embrace it. She apologized after I coaxed her into it, which I thought was appropriate. And, you know, I kept it real with her. I mean, I feel like, you know, we got the fake Melanie and the real Melanie. You know, the real Melanie is at the pub, you know, with the chips and beer, you know, with the fish and chips, the surf and turf and the beer. And the fake Melanie is at the school board, smiling and taking pictures with kids. Like, I mean, I might get real frustrated, but I'm never going to get so frustrated that I say things that betray my core values. You know what I'm saying? We all get frustrated. That damn Ryan Messer, why did he change? I can get that. But you don't care about fucking grandmamas? You don't care about the teachers? What do teachers do? You don't care about these are the men and women that have to go into the school building. Like I said, to me, I want my kids to go to school, but I don't think it's fair for me to ask these men and women, these teachers, these administrators, the people that work inside the school building, they put their life on the line because I might be inconvenienced with my children. To me, that is unfair. They're my children. If anybody's going to be inconvenienced or have to deal with it, it's going to have to be me and the wifey. They're mine. We brought them to this world. I am ultimately responsible for them during a pandemic, after a pandemic, during a snowstorm, after a snowstorm. I'm responsible, not you. Yeah, I know it's your profession, but you shouldn't have to die. I thought it was quite interesting. So I chose not to play the video because I want, and I do have it, but and more than that, but I chose to just ask her straight up. And, you know, I'm not sure if there's a legal case. She might have a legal case. I'm not a lawyer. I do know that in Ohio, you can record a conversation that you're a part of if the other parties are not aware of it, but you have to be a part of the conversation. I also know that there's no expectation of privacy when you're in public. So the legal minds and the people with the experience can figure that all out. But like I told you, I'm willing to go to jail. I told the wife yesterday, let's go. You share something with me, that's where it ends, period. Simple as that. And I'm saying it again this morning. I don't know. I found it somehow. That's how I got it. But I don't have nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't know nobody. I don't what you talking about. Simple as that. And we'll let the chips fall where they may, period. But, you know, I'm glad that she didn't outright deny it. So apparently it's all true. So check out Melanie Bates in the pub, kicking it back with her friends. I think it's just bad business, not smart. Cincinnati is a very small place. And this issue is super important. This is not a small thing. Again, I've been telling you, I think this is the most important issue in Cincinnati. This is a super important issue right now. Everybody's watching this because you're talking about people's health and their children. So that's 2 out of 3 things you're never supposed to play with adults. Let's take it from the top, family. Food. If you want to get an adult mad at you, play with their food. You sit down and eat and go over there and put your fingers on somebody's food and see what happens. You might not wake up until tomorrow. I don't care who you're dealing with. You don't play with humans' food. That's a good way to get the worst out of them. People's children. You don't play with people's children. That's a good way to wake up in the afterlife. You don't play with people's kids. No adult in the world is going to let you play games with their children. None. Black, white, Asian, rich, poor. If you want to see the worst side of a human being, you do something to their kids and see what happens. You better run. You best to get it. You better get moving. That's not to be played with. And then, of course, so people's money, people's livelihood. You just don't play with those kind of things. You don't play with those kind of things. And I just feel like these board members need to understand just how serious this is. This is not a small thing. So yeah, if I'm a teacher or a parent and I see a board member, I might have did this shit. I'll be honest with you. Let me go in someplace and I see you tough talking. Oh, okay. Doop, 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 doop. But see, I'm that dude. I'm the dude that'll walk into the administrator's office and put the recorder, this one right here, straight on the desk, bleep, bleep, and record everything. Done it. Oh man, people get in their feelings. But I don't care about the smoke. If you're dealing with my child, I will do whatever I need to do to make sure that my children are safe. There's no end to it. There's nothing I wouldn't do. And I don't care about being liked. Just like these parents that surreptitiously or on the low, secretly or illegally, whatever the case may be. It's not illegal to the court say so, but we'll find out. These parents don't give a damn about that. They hear a board member talking, as Fame would put it, slick and greasy at the pub, and they caught you. Have those conversations at home or lower your voice. Like if you talking so loud that somebody can record you from 15 feet away, then the real problem is you're talking too loudly. I was told that Melanie was talking super tough, super loud, and that the people involved was shocked. They was like, Damn, we can't believe it. So as I told you, we also have another guest scheduled to come in this morning, and that's brother Kevin Aldrige with the Enquirer. He's the opinion editor, and we got Kevin on the line right now. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning, Kevin. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nathan. Good morning, man.
Hey, good morning,
let me tell
brother.
you that
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I do hear you. I do hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
No Zoom this morning? I thought we might get you on the Zoom.
Yeah, we can get me on the Zoom if you want. Just send me the info and
I'll send it to you right now.
Okay. All right.
Cool. That's Kevin Aldrige. Appreciate his time this morning. He's going to give us a call and talk about, I think we'll be talking about the same thing. And plus he wrote, I'm not sure if he wrote it or the editorial staff wrote it, saying that they believe that CPS should honor the deal with the governor, which I don't believe that at all, but it'll be interesting to hear his take on it. I'm all about that life this morning, family, all about it. But what do you think about Melanie? What do you think about Melanie? Do you give her points in her somewhat honesty? How does she come across to you? You know, things like that. What's your take on what she had to say? Let me read some comments as we wait for Kevin to give us a call. You see, TNT writes, Kevin should make you a co-editor after that interview. Brian writes, when that liquid truth serum hit, LOL. Somebody writes, this is how she acts. Okay, hold on. We got Kevin on the line. Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Hey, Nathan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing great. Thank you for being here this morning.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Sorry, I had you on my Facebook this morning. I'm just trying to get it off of here. Give me just a second.
Good.
All right. Yeah, no, yeah, thanks for having me, man. I have to say that is probably one of the most remarkable interviews I've heard in a long time, man. I got to give you props on that, Nathan, because I'm sitting here listening to this, and it was just, I was stunned by it. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. That was just a remarkable conversation. I'm speechless sitting here listening to it. I didn't catch the whole interview, but the early parts of it. But if the early parts was anything like the end, man, I tell you, that was something else.
Yeah, it was interesting. It'll be interesting to see how, what the fallout is of, with her own comments. But wow, and like I told Melanie, and I keep saying it, man, this is a serious issue to a lot of parents. I mean, parents are on 10 when it comes to this. And I wish the best. I hope that I hope we beat COVID and whatever that means. I hope we can get back to 5 days a week in CPS as quickly, as safely as possible. But some of these decisions that the board has made are questionable, which leads us to the op-ed piece from the Enquirer. Now, did you write that, or was it like a team thing?
Yeah, so it was an editorial. I write the editorials on behalf of the board, but these are opinions that we discuss as a group, and come up with the take that we want to have, and then then I write them. But yeah, this was the opinion of all seven editorial board members at the Enquirer, and our position was this, and I think people have kind of taken it a couple different ways, and I think this is one of those situations where you got to compartmentalize the issues that we're talking about. So our opinion was critical of the school board and their reversal of their decision to go forth with this COVID-19 vaccine deal. Now, our criticism of the board comes from when you take this deal, you should have known or maybe did know all of the information about the challenges that were going to be in place at Walnut Hills and maybe some other schools in the district before you accept the deal. If you knew you couldn't live up to all of the criteria of the deal, then don't take the deal. I recognize that means that your teachers might not get vaccinated. But if that's what it takes to make sure that you can maintain safety in all your buildings, you have to forego it, then that's just what you have to do. But in our opinion, if you take the deal, then that means you've thought it out, you've planned it out, you have a reasonably safe plan for moving forward for all of your schools. So therefore, you take the deal and get your teachers vaccinated. Now, I sort of heard Melanie talk about there was some ambiguity about, some of the language in the contract that they signed. Nathan, you and I both know that, before you sign any contract, you want to make sure that you understand exactly what it is that you're signing. So if there was any lack of clarity, if there was any ambiguity in the contract, it was their obligation to get that clear before they ordered the superintendent to sign that contract with the governor. So I think this lies solely at the feet of the board, the situation that they're in, because it is their responsibility to make sure that they've game planned this out, that it's safe before they sign the deal. Now, you can take the position that the governor put them in an untenable situation by demanding that all of the schools be open. That's a fair argument. But that's a discussion and an argument to have before you sign the contract, not after you sign the contract. So it's sort of like these are things that should have been fleshed out in the community, fleshed out with the board before you sign the deal. But in our opinion, once you sign the deal, you're giving your word there that you're going to live up to the terms of that deal. And you heard Melanie talk about, some of the fallout is going to be is how is that going to show up down the line when CPS needs some real support from the state, some support from the governor's office? Is he going to be thinking back to this deal that they did not honor, and how is that going to affect CPS down the road? So these are all things that that should have been thought out ahead of time, and that's why we were critical of the board. Look, we're not saying that the governor is right in this, but you know what the political winds are with him. He's a Republican. He's under a lot of pressure to get schools back, people back in the classroom. That's sort of been the conservative position on this issue, is getting schools reopened, getting society reopened. So where the governor is coming from and what he's going to do. Not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's the politics. And so that's why it's incumbent upon the people who we elect here locally to make sure that they're doing their due diligence and that they're thinking all of this stuff through. I get it. Passing up on getting your staff vaccinated, that's a tough pass, when you have that opportunity, because who knows when the opportunity is going to come along to get your entire district, teachers, staff, and everybody else vaccinated. And maybe they were thinking, maybe some part of the process was, take it now, ask for forgiveness later if we break the contract. I don't know what their line of thinking was, but clearly I think that the ball lands squarely in their court in terms of how they sort of bungled this with their communication, perhaps a lack of transparency. And so that's what our editorial was trying to suggest. Not that we, don't understand the real concerns of parents who fear exposure to the virus, kids bringing it home, that sort of thing. We certainly don't agree with the reduction of the 6 foot social distancing to 3 feet. I think if you're going to reopen Walnut Hills, you need to find a way creatively to create that 6 foot of social distancing, whatever you have to do, and reaching out to community resources to maybe help you do some of that, because those parents who want their kids back in school, what are they willing to do to help the district? What are businesses and other sectors of the community willing to do to help these kids get back into school safely? So I think that that those are the kinds of points that we wanted to make in our editorial.
Yeah, I saw that when you posted it. I don't know if it was your personal page or on the Greater Cincinnati Politics page. There's a lot of people who are commenting. I think I left a comment too saying, and I still believe this, like at the end of the day, I care less about a deal with the governor than I do about public safety. But I understand the point you're trying to make about the school board in general, because they could have said something like, well, hey, governor, we'll do that, but Walnut Hills is different. So let's add an addendum or a caveat, or let me do something like that. I don't know if they made an attempt to do that. And I think that a crisis in terms of leadership can be quite revealing. A crisis can reveal that you are made for those kind of situations, that you stand up or you stand down. And unfortunately for many of the school board members, this crisis has revealed that that their decision making, that their logic leaves a lot to be desired, including Melanie Bates. We had a conversation this morning. But I understand that. I get that's a tough spot. So if they don't take the deal, people are like, well, damn, you missed an opportunity for us to get everybody vaccinated. What are you thinking? Right? So it's kind of like, as she put it earlier, and I keep using the word, an untenable situation that the governor, put the school district in. But again, they still have some wiggle room and I think some flexibility. At least display your leadership, display your understanding that you understand that Walnut Hills is in a different situation. Not that they're special, but it's overcrowded. They can't do the same thing there as they can with other schools. And we didn't see that. Talk with the parents, and talk with the teachers. I mean, these are really basic things that you can do that can help buttress your position and your opinion when you'll finally arrive at it. But if you don't do any of those things, you open yourself up for critique as they're getting right now.
Yeah.
Lack of communication.
Yeah. And that's easy to understand. I mean, all your points are well taken, Nathan. And I think that was kind of our point is that on the front end of this, it seemed like there was a lot more conversation and things that could have been had, especially like what you said is going to the governor and saying, hey, we really want to do this, but we've got one school in our district that is going to be a challenge. It's a little bit different. And here are all of the reasons why. How can we still get this deal done, and take into consideration the challenges we have here and the concerns that parents have about safety in this building. Again, we don't know whether that conversation happened or not. I think we can intuit that maybe it didn't happen, because if it did, DeWine would not have come out, in the way that he did in terms of calling out the district. I just don't think that's something you do if you've had that kind of conversation ahead of time and there's sort of an understanding about the challenges that are there. So you're absolutely right. This is an issue of leadership. And I think that, look, they were damned if they do, damned if they did in one way or the other, because as one of the true things that Melanie talked about is you got parents on both sides of this issue. You got parents who want their kids back in school for a variety of reasons. Maybe that's childcare issues. Maybe they are, sincerely concerned about the quality of education that they're getting. Maybe they don't believe that the risk is as high as some other people believe it to be. Whatever the reasons are, people are I don't know if split is the exact word to do or use, because I don't know if it's necessarily 50-50, but whatever the percentages are, there are people who want their kids back and people who don't. I think the thing that you're looking for out of your leaders is that they have, one, done their due diligence. They've listened to the community, tried as best they can to answer all of these questions, and then commit. Once look, in this situation, you got to choose a side. I mean, there's basically, you've got to make a decision about what you want to do and then stick to that decision and make sure that you can demonstrate to the community that you have done thoughtful consideration, you've run the numbers, you've looked at it, and then here's our decision, and this is what we feel like we're doing in the best interest of Cincinnati. You're never going to get 100% consensus on any decision that you make, but when people on both sides can begin to start to poke holes in the decisions that you're making, then it does force you to go back and reevaluate how you're thinking, what criteria you're using to make a decision. And you can't just sort of let the political winds push you in a direction, because, they went into that board meeting where at least I'm told that they went into that board meeting where they decided to keep Walnut Hills virtual, prepared not to do that. But it was the pushback from the community that cause some of them to double back and backtrack. So to me, I'm a little bit disturbed, not necessarily they're listening to the public, but that you can come into a meeting seemingly convinced of one course of action that you want to take, and then in the course of an hour, I don't know how long the meeting was, you can flip and come to a completely different decision, violating a contract. I just think that is not, I don't know. I just have a problem with that kind of thought process. Delay the vote, table it, say we want to think about it some more, take a look at it, come back and vote. I don't know, Nathan. It's just difficult for me to understand the thought process.
And see, for me, I'm on the other side of it, Kevin. I'll be honest with you. For me, I think that the board did the right thing. I think that even though they signed this contract with the governor, and even though, as you said, many of them were walking into that last meeting where they made the decision about Walnut Hills to stick with the plan, I think they made the right decision based upon the available science, listening to all of the parents and community members. I mean, they're supposed to represent and be beholden to us more so than the governor, right? We're the people that put you in office, right?
Yeah,
it was Cincinnati that put him in office, right?
I don't disagree with that. I think my point, though, Nathan, was not necessarily that they didn't make the right decision, but you see how that sort of back and forth flip-flopping creates confusion for the community and creates a sense of distrust. When you tell me one thing and then you go back and you do something completely opposite, how can parents, even the Walnut Hills parents who won out that night, how can you be 100% sure that following a meeting tonight or whatever, they're not back in the same position tomorrow that you were in prior to that vote? You can have no confidence in their ability to stick to a position. They've gone back on a deal with the governor. They've reversed their position on Walnut Hills a couple of times. What can you tell me with any 100% confidence, Nathan, that you know where this board stands on this issue right now, and that you trust they won't? Precisely. So that's precisely my point, in that they have created in their back and forth a confusion and a lack of trust that is not good for anybody. And I think that's the larger point that I don't want to miss. So I'm not arguing with you that that it wasn't the safe choice that they made. I'm just saying that they have created an environment now, because of their inability to think through, stake out a position from the beginning and stick with that position, that has created mistrust, I think, across the community.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, they definitely got an issue with mistrust. But I think in this issue with COVID is that it's a fluid situation, right? Mm-hmm. So as more information comes in, it should inform their decision. Their decision, it may change. It might even do a 180 degree if they get more information. So for instance, you might have school board members that are like, hey, I want you back 5 days a week. But if the infection rates in the community start to change, if it goes in the wrong direction, it should impact their decision, right? And that's how I look at those board members that voted for Walnut Hills to stay virtual for now.
But they weren't operating earlier
for sure, obviously. But at this point, that's what they got to do.
They weren't operating off of new information, Nathan. I mean, this is information that was known or should have been known. So I agree with you. This is a fluid, changing situation where we're getting hit with new scientific data. We're learning more about the virus and these vaccines and all of that stuff. I get that. But Walnut Hills overcrowding is not new information. The situation there, the technology, the space issues, all of the things that we're talking about is not new information that they did not have at the beginning of this process. That's what I'm having a difficult time. Mm-hmm. The community feedback. I mean, hell, you've had every board member on the board on your show. So the community concerns is not new information. So I would give you that. I would
say this though. Mm-hmm. I would say this about the community. I would say one thing. I think that when the board says, well, we were hearing from both sides last year, I think that's accurate. Mm-hmm. Because the board came up, not the board, but the administration, the board came up with a set of criteria. And so for parents like me, there was no reason for us to really get loud because we were looking at the criteria, right? And so at some point they decided, okay, damn the criteria, we're going to do this anyway. And that's when you had parents who started to step up and speak out more, because previously they told us they were going to make a decision based upon criteria. They decided not to do that. That's when you start to hear more voices. That's when I think the community's voices got louder and louder. And I think that's what started to change in terms of the pressure and the heat that the board was starting to get and experience, because there was no reason for me to call the board. All I got to do is look at the set of criteria that you told me you were going to go by. Okay, we didn't reach it yet. There's no conversation.
Right.
But when they changed that, it turned things, but it goes back to the board, not standing up to their word, not standing on their criteria. Had they done this, then a lot of these conversations we're having right now, we wouldn't even be having it.
Yeah, well, I think the vaccine offer is clearly what changed the paradigm there. I mean, I think the opportunity. So you're right. CPS did have their criteria, and Julie Sellers wrote a great op-ed a few weeks ago, criticizing the board for that exact thing, not following the president of the teachers union, not following the scientific data that they themselves said they were going to utilize to put students back in the classroom. But when I think DeWine came forward with this opportunity to vaccinate districts to get people back in, that changed the nature of things. Because if you remember, that sort of came out like right at the time that we were in, Hamilton County was in purple, which was, one of the higher warning zones for I think maybe the highest for COVID vaccine, or COVID exposure, risk exposure. And I think that's what changed the game. It's interesting that if DeWine had not come through with this offer for the vaccines, it's interesting to see how the district, what their posture might have been in regard to returning to in-person learning. I don't think we would be having this conversation. So the vaccine deal is kind of, I think, what changed the narrative and the paradigm, and the deadline of March 1st put a sense of urgency there that, perhaps the board wasn't prepared for, maybe even the district wasn't prepared for. But again, it's hard to pass up, understandably, that opportunity to get your district vaccinated.
Yeah, it is hard to pass up. I don't know. It seems like a real bad deal. How dare DeWine make a deal like this that you're trying to leverage? And it seems like it's all for politics, so he can beat his chest and say, I beat COVID when he runs for re-election. That's what it feels like it is to me, because we should look at each individual school building differently, because they are different, and rather than trying to do everything with a blanket, we should look at the best option individually per school and school district when it comes to health. And so what does this mean? So we're going to have a governor that's going to hold a grudge against a school district because the school district did the right thing for the health of the people in the building? That doesn't seem like a winner to me when it comes to re-election time, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well,
I don't see
it. It depends on what your constituency is. I mean, look, you cannot separate. One thing that I think the board and myself personally has been consistent on is that I think that science from the beginning should have been driving a lot of these decisions. The unfortunate thing is that when you introduce the politics into these situations, it creates an environment that doesn't always lead to decisions that are made in the best interest of the health of the community. And this is a battle that we have been going through since probably after the first few weeks of the shutdown back in March. Dr. Amy Acton was under tremendous political pressure and fire from a lot of people. I mean, people who wanted to see her fired because they felt like some of the data and the projections that she gave, didn't match up, in the end, even though those initial projections were projections if we did nothing, if we didn't do anything, if we didn't shut down, if we didn't mask, if we didn't do all of these things, these are what we could have been looking at. And the fact that we did make some changes changed the numbers in terms of community spread, hospitalizations, and those sorts of things. To your point, it's a fluid situation. How we respond, new information that comes to us, all of those things affect, how this virus impacts our community. But when you introduce politics into it, then you get those people who will use the statistics against you. They will use the stats to justify a political argument to say, we don't need to shut down. We need to open businesses. We need to get, kids back in school because on this date, you said, the infection rate was this. And on this date, the infection rate is this. So clearly, everything is okay. In the beginning, you said masks weren't effective. Now you're saying masks are effective. Now you're telling us to double mask. So there's like no recognition in some parts of the community that this is an evolving situation. And as you said, new information that comes forth as we find things to be more effective or less effective, we adjust. But politics, people politically use that to make arguments to justify whatever agenda or course they want to pursue. And so I think once we've seen politics enter into this, it's become less about what's good for the overall public safety of the community and what's good for an individual politically. Where's my base at? What's going to get me elected or reelected? You know, DeWine's in a tough spot. There are many in his own party who want to see him primaried or out of there. There are many people, liberals, who thought DeWine was doing a good job in the beginning, but then when the political pressure got to him, he kind of fell in disfavor with those people because they felt like he was doing political things versus what was right for the community. So he's in a tough spot, you know, from an electoral position, because he's catching it from both sides. And it'll be interesting to see what his political future looks like, as well as, you know, all of the members on the board, because people are keeping a ledger. They're keeping track of these decisions. And as you told Melanie Bates, you know, I mean, this stuff is going to come back. It's absolutely going to come back at the ballot box.
Kevin, thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, you too. And let me just say this before we leave, man. Kudos to you, because I think I've said this to you off the air, and I want to, you know, put it out there publicly, that I think that your coverage of this particular issue has been, you know, second to none, you know, in the city of Cincinnati on this issue. It's an incredibly important issue, but I think but for your, you know, dogged coverage of this, you know, pulling board members on your show, asking them the tough questions, allowing the community to ask tough questions, you know, you may not have gotten the result that you saw at Walnut Hills. So you know, my personal opinion is I think your coverage has made a tremendous difference in this particular story, and just keep up the good work, man. Like I said, that interview today was absolutely remarkable. That was probably one of the most informative and entertaining. I mean, I know it's not supposed to be like entertaining in terms of like getting any kind of joy out of it. I don't mean it like that. I just mean it was compelling, you know, radio listening. I couldn't turn away from it, and that's all you can hope for as a journalist or a member of the media, is to put forth that kind of content that can capture an audience, and you delivered on it today. You've been delivering on it, and folks should appreciate that.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the kind words. And
all right,
we'll catch up, brother.
Yep.
That's Kevin Aldrige, everybody. He is the opinion editor with the Cincinnati Enquirer. Appreciate that. I'll say it again. There is a role and a space for independent media and legacy media. It doesn't have to necessarily compete. It can work together, right? In terms of educating and entertaining, you know, your audience. But I appreciate his time this morning. What do you think? 513-873-7134. This is what I do. All right. A couple things going on today. First, Tiffany Daniels' podcast is back today at 12. She talks about wealth building. She lives it. She don't just talk about it. She's got a special guest on today talking about home ownership, building your own home. Have you ever thought about it? Maybe looking for some tips and some insight? Check out the Community Connector podcast today at 12 noon. And make sure you keep your eyes open for what we got going on here at CDM. We're going to unveil something new this week, and I want you to be a part of it. I hope that you'll like it. Before we go any further in the show, a couple things. So let's play Mystery History, shall we? Let's play Mystery History. Now, we started playing this on Friday, and if you go to the Nathan Ivey Show Facebook page, you can play this particular image along with the audio that accompanies it is already up on my Facebook page. You can only enter to play one time. Here's how you play Mystery History. It's real simple. All you have to do is listen to this clip. I'm about to play a clip for you. Listen to the clip. Tell me who the famous person in American history is Black History Month, so the famous Black American whose voice that you hear in the clip. You're going to hear two voices. One will probably stand out to you more than the others. All you got to do is when you get the correct answer, don't put the name into the stream comments. You can if you want to, but that's not where you want to put it. Go on Facebook, The Nathan Ivey Show, post it there, like and share it. You got to do all three things. Get the correct answer, like it, and share, and that'll register you to win a $50 gift card for a purchase toward a purchase at imgbat.com. That's a Black-owned, online, handcrafted jewelry and art boutique you don't want to miss. They got some one-of-a-kind items. You can check it out. So you can either purchase something outright with the $50 or maybe put it toward a bigger purchase. They got a lot of dope, one-of-a-kind items there you're not going to find anywhere else, okay? So let me play this for you, and then you can do your due diligence. Tell me who this is, all right?
I go to a white restaurant. We integrate day, right? You go to a white restaurant, you got to look all day on the jukebox to find some music.
No. At our party, we'll have Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder.
I tell you, man, if I go bring a jukebox in a white restaurant, anybody black can tell you, you got to look all over that box for some black music. Hank Snow, Johnny Cash, all kind of names I ain't never heard of. You know, when that train comes around that mountain.
Hopefully that's not too culturally insensitive for you. You can check it out. Now, when I designed this game, I designed it because I want you to win. I want you to win. I want you to win something dope, super nice from imgbat.com. So we purposely made it, I would say that's moderate, okay? It might be easy for some, more difficult for others, but you heard the voice of a famous black person in American history. Go to the Nathan Ivey Show Facebook page, and you'll see it at the top of the page. You can listen to it again. You can only play one time. So if you post something and then like, oh man, I got it wrong, and you post again, whatever that first post is with your name is what's going to register you. Okay, so we're going to do this all the way to Friday. Then on Friday after the show, we're going to randomly choose someone who has registered properly, and then we'll be in contact with you and let you know how you can redeem your $50 gift card. Just that simple, okay? Mystery Histories, just that simple. Presented by imgbat.com, which is a Black-owned, online, handcrafted jewelry and art store. It's just that simple. You can go, there's a link in today's description right now. You can check it out for yourself, all right? Also, today's show is brought to you by Team Wellburn, the Wellburn Experience. Are you hipped to the Wellburn Experience? If not, let me play this for you. We'll come back and I'll talk more about it.
Experience. It's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. 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 It's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. That well-born experience. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you're happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Oh, it's the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the well-born experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head. Not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps it so professional and from his conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure? Yeah. And just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
Again, that's 513-252-1055. Again, 513-252-1055. Also, my good friends over at pinnacleprotectionagency.com, and you can email them this morning at info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. They are looking for professional installers. They're seeking professional camera, DVR, and alarm systems installers. You can call them this morning at 513-506-5010. Again, 513-506-5010. 10 this morning. Smart home and business technology. They do intrusion, fire, surveillance, and doorbell cameras. They do ballistic safety, safe panic rooms and building structures, and also 24/7 alarm monitoring central station. If you're looking for a new opportunity, if you know someone who's looking for a job or an opportunity, that's how I look for it. This is an opportunity for you to work for great pay with a great family-owned, Black-owned company, then please send your resume to the good folks over at the Pinnacle Protection Agency. Again, they're seeking professional installers for security, surveillance camera, intrusion alarms, and access control systems. I'll say it again. Their number, 513-506-5010. Again, 513-506-5010. That's 5010. Or you can reach out to them with a resume at info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. That's info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. I'll say it again. That's info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com, and it should be on the screen right now. Yes, it is. info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. This could be your next opportunity. Earn great pay, work with a great family-owned company. Pinnacle Protection Agency is looking for you this morning. All right. info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. All right. All right. So, and you'll hear more about it all week long and into next week as well. I'll be talking more about it. What I'm hoping is to reach out is to get the owner on the show as well, so you can talk with him and maybe pick his brain in particular and get more information about this exciting opportunity. A lot of folks are out there looking for their next thing. This could be it for you. All right. I'll say it one more time for the people just joining. You might be like, oh, Nate, one more time. info@pinnacleprotectionagency.com. All right. All right. All right. Before we roll out of here, what are we at 10:30? Oh, I got to roll. We're back at it in 90 minutes. So with the Community Connector podcast with Tiffany Daniels, looking forward to that. Always good information. You can find Tiffany Daniels on Facebook, and/or please subscribe to this feed on Facebook as well, Sin Digital Media, so you can get all of our podcasts. So again, thanks to Melanie Bates. Ooh, it was rough. That was a rough one, but it is what it is. We all grown folks. We all responsible for what we say and what we do. And when you're an elected official during times like this, people watching. It is what it is. I don't know who got the tape. Don't ask me. I'm telling you right now, I don't know. If you ask me any questions, I don't know the answer. No questions whatsoever. But I appreciate her time this morning. That was a rough one. It was a briar patch, but I mean, we don't call this the chop shop for no reason. I keep saying they earn that. we earn that. And we're going to whatever it is going to come out right here on the Nathan Ivey Show. All right. The last honest place in Cincinnati media. I've been telling you that from day one. I'll continue to stick to that. Also, shout out to Kevin Aldrige. He's the opinion editor with the Cincinnati Enquirer. I appreciate the brother's time and the kind words. Nobody can tell me that independent media cannot move the needle for the community. We've done it several times and we'll continue to do it. I'm not going nowhere. We only going to just expand and get bigger. I'll say it again. If you know someone who is a creator or a creative, perhaps we can work together. If you know someone who's into doing podcasts or live streams, perhaps we can work together. If you know someone who's an audio engineer or audio editor or videographer or video editor, perhaps we can work together. Are you a graphic artist? Perhaps we can work together in a way that's mutually beneficial. All right. Hit me up with a direct message and I'll be in contact today to set up a time for us to connect when it's convenient for you. All right. Let me see. Let me go back through here and see what people. I couldn't read all the comments. You got me for another like 5-10 minutes. I want to read some of the comments here. Shauna writes, CPS was in a rush to get the vaccine, as I can imagine. I mean, I can understand that. I can understand that. Woo, some of these comments were tough this morning. They were tough this morning. Woo. But it is what it is. And Melanie didn't come out. And I mean, the whole thing about send me the video so I can see what I said, I'm like, that don't sound right. It sounds like you was saucing too much and started talking slick and greasy, as Fame might say, and now you can't remember what you said. That ain't a good look, sis. That ain't a good look. Fame writes, Big told me y'all was stealing my slang. It's only thievery if you don't give props to the original person. I gave you props, man. James writes, Melanie is full of shizzle. TNT writes, this should make the 5 o'clock news. It might. We'll see. We'll see. Let me write, Nate just got an Emmy for this interview. I'm not sure. Rolando writes, she said she on some bullshit. Akeem writes, spill the freaking T video. As I understand, it was put out there, maybe in several places on Facebook, and then it was taken down. And I may or may not have a copy in my possession. I don't know. Right now, I can't remember. Send me a video, then I can tell you. I'll pull some Melanie Bates with it. Send me a video, then I'll tell you what I know. I may or may not have a copy. In fact, I don't. Okay, we'll leave it like that. But as I understand, this stuff is circulating, and we'll see. If it's true, it's true. And as again, I spoke my piece on it. If it's true, I'm offended as a parent. And I'm wondering who the real Melanie Bates is. Is it the person that's smiling with the kids on social media? Or is it when you with your friends? I get it. I'm pretty consistent. If I feel a certain way, I feel a certain way. I'm also not an elected official. If I was an elected official, this is just my style. This is certain conversations I would never have in public, especially not among friends or otherwise. I'm just not having those conversations. I'm not saying I won't talk with you. I'm just not going to do it in public because I know how this world is. You know what I'm saying? People always watching and waiting to catch you slipping. And that's what happened to Melanie. She got caught slipping. I mean, it's only a problem because of what you said. Like, if they overheard you saying like, hey, I care so much about the district and I love everybody and I'm really, really struggling with what the right thing to do is, you'd have no problem with it. It's only a problem because you said some things that were unflattering for yourself and very unattractive towards yourself. Even talking about the board members. She said she spoke with Ryan Messer about it. So again, my style is I like to talk with the people that's involved. So, but also understand the power of media. So I want to say RIP. It came to my attention over the weekend that someone that we've talked about and I've talked about here on the show, he actually was a guest on the show last year before the election, and that's Major Earl Price, who was the highest ranking African-American sheriff deputy, passed away. I don't know why. And when the news hit me, I got to be honest with you, I had to stop for a second because, I fully admit I went hard in the paint. I was on some straight Olajuwon Dream Shake type stuff with some Kenyon Martin mixed in there. I went hard in the paint. Okay. And would I do anything differently? I would not. That's how I felt about it. And I tried to be truthful with that brother. But when I heard he passed away, a part of me wondered if, again, you never know. People have physical conditions. I don't know Mr. Earl Price and his family, but I hope his soul rests in peace. I hope he had a peaceful transition. And I felt a little bit bad. I did, just in the sense of, not in terms of me doing anything, but just the whole circumstances. So if you don't know, Major Earl Price spent 25 years on the Hamilton County Sheriff's Force. Ray rose to be the highest ranking African-American member of the force. And during the last election, he allowed himself to be a part of a campaign for Bruce Hoffbauer, who was the Republican candidate for sheriff, someone who I thought was bad news. This is my personal opinion. Okay. This show had an impact in that as well, whether people want to give it credit or not. But, I thought it was just a bad deal. And I tried to get Bruce on the show. He didn't want to come on the show, which I think was a reflection of how he would have been as a leader. If you're not willing to talk to people that have a different point of view, then what kind of a leader are you really going to be? I remember Earl Price came on this show. I reached out to Earl Price talked about on the show, reached out to him. He was nice enough to reach back to me. I remember I was in the grocery store I was in the grocery store when I got the call. I'm like, who is this? And he was a man of his word. He came on, he spoke with us for an hour. It wasn't the most flattering, conversation. Some things came out that just didn't make him look good. And I tried to tell the brother, I'm like, man, how does this work, Earl? I mean, if you lose the election, what do you think, Charmaine McGuffey, candidate at that point, now she's a sheriff, what do you think she gonna do? I know what I would do. You got to go, period. And he was like, Nate, it is what it is. I'm prepared to do whatever. And then when Charmaine McGuffey came in, he was one of a total of 8 people that she let go. It is what it is. Ain't no tears now. And, part of me wondered if that whole scenario had anything to do with contributing to his death. I thought that. Not for me, but just losing your job and all this kind of stuff. And then, it is what it is. And, but at the end of the day, we all have to deal with the consequences of our own actions. And it is what it is. This is real out here, family. This ain't no game. This ain't no game. This is real life. I know this is real life. It's the reason why I choose my words very carefully on every show. It's the reason why I take the time so people understand what I'm trying to say, because I have no problem in being held accountable for something I said. I got no problem. If I say something in error and people hold me accountable, I deal with it. I move on, okay? I have more of a problem. My problem begins when there's something that I didn't say or was taken out of context or whatever. So I take a lot of time in making sure that people understand and I'm communicating effectively. Because sometimes you can get to talking and you think you're saying one thing, but you're really communicating something else. And that matters to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if people criticize me or disagree with me or dislike me or whatever on something that I actually said. That's just being an adult. But when it's something that was maybe an error or whatever, I try real hard. It matters to me that I'm effectively communicating, okay? And I effectively communicated with the whole Earl Price situation. I told the brother exactly how I felt about it and was straight up man-to-man honest with him, 100%. I didn't do it for the show. I did it because that's what I was thinking. I mean, that was the truth in that moment. So those are just my thoughts. I did see it. Several people sent it to me. And I was like, damn, man, I was sad news. I was not happy to see that, about Earl. But I wouldn't take anything back either. It is what it is. All right. Somebody writes, it all goes back to money. Let me go back and see if I can get some of your comments in when we had actually Melanie Bates on. Somebody writes a weak apology. Yeah, it would have been better if she offered the apology, but it is what it is at this point. Nat writes, CPS board loves Nathan Ivey. They should. I support the CPS board 100%. 100%. As long as they're on some real ish and you're doing a good job for our children, I support you 1,000%. When you don't, then let's just have a conversation. May writes, don't give her ish. Jesse writes, you know what you said. Yeah. She says, can somebody please send me the video so I know what I said? Not a good look. That's not a look that screams. That's not a question that screams leadership. Okay. That's not a question that screams leadership. Right. We got to be. They're right. She cussing you out under her breath, Nate. She might be, but she really should be mad at herself because I didn't videotape anything. I didn't audio tape anything. I didn't say anything. She said it. So if she's mad at anybody, she mad at herself. Glenn is so funny, man. He said, ask Melanie if she was at the Capitol on January 6th. What else is she hiding? You wrong for that, man. I'm not going to ask her. Hey, good morning, Angela. She writes, got to give her credit. She's riding his wagon till the wheels fall off. Yeah, she did. She did. Nate should be proud of this interview. This will go outside of CDM and will go on Cincy Viral. It will go Cincy Viral. It might. Let me see. Breaking news. Supreme Court declines to block NYAG from getting Donald Trump's tax returns and personal records. Get them, Letitia James. Yeah, do what you got to do. I'm inside the chop shop there. Yeah. Angela writes, she may as well forget about running. I would be if I was a member, if I was running for school board, I'm just going to be honest with you. If I was running for school board and Melanie Bates is running for re-election, and you better believe that she going to hear more about it. At every debate, every time I'm in public, I'm going to bring it back up like, hey, listen, I'm going to do better than this. Every single time. You don't care about the grandmas? It's just wasn't good. Just wasn't good. And I had no bones about bringing it to Melanie whatsoever. Now, I had an issue with playing the video and or anything else that might be out there. But in terms of questioning her about it, I had no problem with that. I had no problem with it whatsoever. That just comes. Dale writes, good thing she wasn't on Zoom. Right. Oh, man. I would have loved to see the expressions on her face, though. She dying here. Nate's just putting everything on blast. Angela writes, let the Warner Hills parents loose on her. Tough. Academia at the hands of public health is irresponsible. I agree. I get it. Lemmy writes, let it go now, Nathan. Yeah, I did read some of those comments. Well, listen, I'm not going to let it go until it's time to let it go. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that I give her a chance to answer every single allegation, every single one. That's very, very important. I don't want to leave anything out. And part of it is just to be fair to her. Like a lot of people might look at this and think, Nate, you were too tough. I was being fair to her. I didn't cut her off. I simply asked her the questions and let her speak. Unfair would have been cutting her off. Unfair would have been talking about it and then she's not on the line. Now that would have been unfair, in my opinion. That would have been unfair. But it's not unfair to bring somebody on and simply ask them if this is true or not. That's nothing unfair about that. And there were so many things allegedly that she said that I wanted to make sure that we got it all out. Like, so sick of these Warner Hills people. They think they special. Suck it up and get back to work. They're just a bunch of fucking whiners making $70,000, $80,000 a year. Suck it up and go back to work. Here's another one I didn't get a chance to bring up to. The good thing about the union was seeing them spend so much money for the safety of the middle teachers. I don't give a shit. Vote me out. These are all allegedly things that Melanie Bates said. Criticizing Ryan Messer, which she admitted that she said it to him, to his face. So it's all good there. Talking about, I'm supposed to care about the kids' grandmas. I don't care about your grandma. I think it's fair to ask her all those questions because that's what's out there. And she got a chance, uninterrupted, to respond to each and every one of them. I didn't interrupt her. She said as much as she wanted to say, and she had a last word. And, oh, by the way, I gave her an opportunity, reminded her an opportunity to apologize. So, no, I don't think anybody looking at this, anybody who would say that I was unfair or was going too far, either don't know how to do this, so let me do it. Or two, you got some kind of biased opinion, because that right there, in my opinion, from my perspective, was a pretty fair interview. Ain't no gotcha, because she already knew about it. As soon as I brought it up to her, she's like, yeah. My first question is, are you aware of what's circulating? What did she say? Yeah, I'm aware. There's no gotcha in that. This is an elected official being held accountable for what an elected official said. And see, too many people do that Cincinnati polite stuff, so we don't really get to this enough. I'm not here for the Cincinnati polite. I'm anti-Cincinnati polite. Okay? We ain't got to get all ad hominem and start talking personally about one another, but you're an elected official. We're talking about parents, students, teachers. It matters. So we'll see if this has an impact. I'll tell you, again, what I'm saying to you, I said to her. So I'm not going to get her off the air and then start talking slick about her. I said it to her. I think it's two Melanies. It's the fake Melanie and the real Melanie. If you want to have some fun with it, it's the real Melanie and the tethered Melanie. Do what you want to do with it. You're right. You know, you got the fake Melanie, and then you got the real Melanie who was with her friends eating fish and drinking and talking slick and greasy. And I said that to her. So I don't think that's unfair at all. I think what's unfair to me and my style is talking shit about somebody, but you never invite them on your show. To me, that's weakness. I'm not a weak man in that way. I have my other weaknesses and my frailties, but that's not one of them. Okay. I 100% believe it's fair that if you're in the news and we talking about you, I'll reach out. Hey, you want to come on? Here's what I'm hearing. And then you can tell us what happened or what didn't happen. So I think that's fair. And if there was some entertainment factor in that, then great. But listen, family, that's my time. I got to make a move. I've got to make a move. Have an excellent rest of your day. I really appreciate you. Okay. Please like and share this show. This show certainly has legs. I want everybody to hear the Melanie Bates interview. The Melanie Bates interview starts about 45 minutes into the conversation. All right. You can check it out for yourself. So have an excellent rest of your day, family. I really appreciate you. All right. Stay focused out there. Stay winning out there. I wish the best for all the creatives and the creators, all of the entrepreneurs out there, all of the moms and the parents and the fathers out there making things happening, putting food on the table. And I appreciate you. Okay. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. Until next time, I'm Nathan Ivy, and I'm out.